YouTube? It's your girl DeeDee. Welcome back to another live stream. I hope you guys are doing well. Happy Wednesday. Today is Wednesday. Shout out to you guys. This is another impromptu live stream, so I hope you guys are enjoying these streams. I hope you guys are doing well. Thank y'all so much for being here. So for everyone in the building, everyone who's watching, make sure as you come into the building, you hit the like button. Hit the like button. It is super, super important to hit the like button as you come into the building. Also, if you're new to the channel and you like the content and you have not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It is free to subscribe. So make sure you are doing that, you guys. Shout out to all of you guys. Lorenzo Redmond in the building. Sean. Shout out to everybody watching, everybody in the chat. I appreciate you guys for being here. Make sure you are continuing to support the channel by watching the videos that are already posted. Share them and like them if you can. Also, hit that notification bell to be notified when I upload new content. All right. So we're going to hop into this video. Americans are crashing out over Job Corps abruptly closing down, plus food stamps are going away, child. We kind of talked about this, but I have a few clips for y'all. I'm not going to keep this live too long today, you guys, but I wanted to share this with y'all, and I want to get y'all thoughts on all of this. What do you think about what's happening with these? First off, with the federal jobs, people losing federal jobs. Now Job Corps is shutting down and people are devastated. What's your thoughts on Job Corps? I want to hear what you have to say. Also, with y'all know the whole food stamp situation. And also there's a lot of fraud going on with that as well, which I'll be talking about in a later video. But I definitely want you guys to chime in the comments on this topic. Make sure you are leaving your thoughts. What's going on, J Rock and Baba Rashan live? Thank y'all so much for being here. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. I want to play this first clip for you guys to get y'all thoughts on this one. Make sure you are chiming in. Make sure you hit the like button as you come into the building. That is super, super important. And we're going to get into it. Here we go.
Being homeless, most likely.
The people here have kind of become like family to me. And it hurts a lot seeing everybody kind of being broken up like this.
And new tonight, the move-outs at the Job Corps campus in St. Paul continue over the weekend. More than 150 students have just days to leave their dorms after the Trump administration cut the program from next year's budget. Job Corps offers free vocational training and housing to low-income teenagers and young adults. But the administration says it's financially unsustainable, with a yearly cost to taxpayers of $1.5 billion. Students say it's all they have. Fox 9's Mike Manzoni talked with some of those students today. And Mike, without this, they say they'll end up back where they started.
And Randy, unfortunately for many of them, that place is a homeless shelter. One student told us even that, though, is hard to get into, which is why he's now heading back to Florida.
The students who study here have nowhere else.
I was actually homeless.
For many on the St. Paul Job Corps campus, that past is now their future.
It was a little bit of a mass panic.
That's how Tyrone Bills described the mood this weekend as dozens of students packed up and moved out of their dorms. A lot of them have no other options and no place to stay. Tyrone wants to work on a railroad. Now he's heading back to sunny Florida, but it's no vacation.
You don't hit the ground running. You just hit the ground, period. Straight homeless, nothing, just straight hitting the ground.
A lot of us here actually came from hard backstories.
Hayden Hefner from upstate New York just finished his graphic design training. He has some interviews lined up, but no job offers yet.
The people here have kind of become like family to me, and it hurts a lot seeing everybody kind of being broken up like this.
If you're here, you're most likely don't have nowhere else to go.
And the federal funding for Job Corps lasts through the end of the month, but employees say the administration wants everyone out by Friday. The government says it will cover travel expenses for the students to go home. In the newsroom tonight, Mike Manzoni, Fox 9.
All right, Mike, thank you.
No, so I want to know your thoughts. Please chime in the chat. What do you think about, I see some comments already. What do you guys think about Job Corps abruptly ending this way? It was, of course, it was federally funded, if I'm not mistaken. And there are a lot of people who are crashing out, people who are, upset about the fact that that this program is shut down. There are a lot of people, a lot of young people who depended on Job Corps for, trades or, a lot of them, to get their lives together. And so clearly this is affecting a lot of people, especially, Black people, you know what I mean? And because a lot of young people have come from broken homes and, you know, have depended on this program, where this program provides shelter, it provides, you know, training, it provides meals, it provides all of these things. So a lot of these young people are now concerned about what their next move is going to be. And you have a lot of parents upset about this because now they're unsure of the fate of their, you know, where their children are going to end up and what's going to happen with them. And I don't know, I'm kind of torn because on one hand I do see how this benefits a lot of young people, but on the others on the flip side, was there a plan B? Is there a plan B for what you will do next? Is this the end all be all? And is there any other alternative that they can turn to in you know, to get their lives on track? You know, I grew up with a lot of people who actually went to Job Corps. My cousins went to Job Corps. People that I went to school with ended up going to Job Corps because they ended up, a lot of them were, you know, were in trouble with the law. A lot of them didn't finish high school. So, and, you know, they were going down the wrong path and they decided, hey, Job Corps was an alternative for them to get their GED and to kind of get on track with their lives. So a lot of them were kicked out of school and they had no other choice but to go there and try to get their lives on track. And it benefited a lot of them, but some of them, they still didn't end up, you know, on the right track. So I think it has been beneficial to some, but for those who just still don't want to do the right thing, still end up in, you know, in bad situations. So I think it was beneficial, but at the same time, what's the other option for these young people? And then a lot of people are, you know, there's mixed reviews on this because a lot of people are talking about how the government is not responsible for your children and their upbringing and making sure that they're good, that's the parents responsibility, which I do agree on that. I do think it has a lot, it goes beyond just that. It goes beyond the raising of these kids. As much as people don't want to hear this, you know, they don't want to hear it and they don't want to equate the two. It goes all the way back to lack of fathers in the home who are helping to raise these kids and steer them in the right directions in the beginning. If we really want to look at the root of a part of the problem of why a lot of these young people have been steered astray, it's because the lack of parenting, the lack of fathers in the households. That's where it stems from. And so, like I said, I grew up with a lot of I was that young person amongst these young individuals, young men and women who were not raised in, you know, solid households. They come from poverty. They come from broken homes, and a lot of these individuals end up dropping out of school. Teen pregnancy was a big thing. And some of them end up turning to Job Corps. So I do think that having that in place was an alternative for them to go to. But at the same time, it wasn't the end all be all, even for those. A lot of them still didn't finish that, which you'll hear this guy talk about. The completion rate of it was only 30%, if I'm not mistaken, and how, you know, it's still some other issues going on with these young people as to why they can't get themselves on track. And I do think, you know, it's more than just Job Corps, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? I think it has a lot to do with it goes beyond that. It goes beyond that. But people of course are blaming Trump. They're blaming Trump on, you know, getting rid of all of these programs, and he's just trying to sabotage the Black community and all of these different things. But I think there's more to it than just that. If we gonna be honest about it, there is more to it than just that. I think we have to look beyond that, look a little bit deeper, and not just, we can't just put it all on the government. You know what I'm saying? And of course, some would agree that these programs help individuals, but there's still more, that deeper issues that we need to look at to get to the root of why so many of our people need these programs in the first place. You know what I mean? And we can go back to you know, systemic racism and all of those things, which we know exist. But at the same time, we do have a lot of individuals who are thriving Black individuals who are thriving and who are doing really well. So we can't just put it all on that. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I'm at with it. But I want to hear your thoughts on what's going on, Fatty. Shout out to you. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate the super chat. Thank you once again. Shout out to Fatty, y'all. Make sure y'all go over and support his channel and subscribe if you haven't already. To go to support them. Just support them in general. They're doing big things over there. So thank you, Fatty, for being here. I appreciate you. Vic says Job Corps is better alternative than public education, the military. And, some people are saying that this is an attempt to get rid of these resources so that more young people would enter into the military, because they're saying that they have a shortage of enlisting or enrollment in the military. What's your thoughts on it? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments. People get financial aid and don't graduate. What's the difference? That's true. What's going on, DeeDee? This is living proof that programs really benefit the generation of people. Boomers had programs, Gen X had programs, millennials had programs, Gen Z is getting less of it. Let's continue with this clip. Here we go.
Go to the rec at about 1:30, and they broke the news to us, and they had us go to the dorms, pack our stuff.
The staff on site would not say a word to us, but sources tell us it was shut down after recent cuts at the Department of Labor, which oversees the program.
I didn't want him to be statistic, so I wanted him to be focused and get his education.
16-year-old Carlton Davis lived here, and his mom recently lost their house, and there's more.
I have breast cancer surgery next week, so now I'm debating having my surgery canceled so I can make sure my son is okay.
I'm livid. I am livid. I cannot believe this.
Community activist Pastor Mo trying to help out here after getting calls from frantic mothers. He's worried about the short and long-term solutions for these kids.
The ones who are trying to get it right. This is why I'm so pissed off. These are not kids who are in a youth home who got caught in a crime. These are kids who are trying to avoid getting caught in a crime.
Call it what it is, okay? They're closing Job Corps because they want young adults who don't come from money to either join the military, go into crime so that they can go into prison where they can be worked for free under the 13th Amendment, or if neither of those, be so desperate that they take terrible jobs with terrible wages and no worker protections, a massive fear of organizing. Like, I don't really see what else the option could be, because Job Corps is not a huge drain on the U.S. budget. It's like a drop inside of a drop inside of a drop inside of the bucket. It's tiny, and it's about as much of a net good of a social program as you can imagine. Job Corps' number one function is to ensure that people who come from certain zip codes and from households with a certain income don't end up on government benefits later. It's like how the number is something like for every dollar that we spend with the IRS, we get like $6 back. Like, I would be surprised if Job Corps is not similar in terms of the ROI. This is done for nothing more than cruelty and ripping the rug out from underneath hardworking kids. This is evil.
They did not fail these children by ending Job Corps. It is 100% on their village and on their parents. And what you people don't understand, and while a lot of y'all from lower socioeconomic areas will never thrive, is because you're going to continue to blame the YT man on your failure. So let's just call a spade here, okay? Most of the children that were at Job Corps were out of control teens, and were teens that their parents have just completely given up on them. And so you decided to bust them to Job Corps, where they now are a burden of the government. They now have to be fed, sheltered, clothed, paid, and taught by the government. And so what's really crazy about that is y'all are making an excuse for lower socioeconomic for people who had parents that ain't shit. And so now they get free trades and shit, while all the other kids and shit are still going to public school and then have to graduate and go to college or go pay for their trades and stuff. This is once again something else that you lower socioeconomic people feel like the government should just give away. Why do y'all continue to feel like shit should just be given away? That is the problem.
Okay, let's pause there. What do you think about what he's saying? Is there some truth to what he's saying? This is where I'm like in the middle on the fence, because I do think there is some truth to what he's saying. And I do think on the other side, this program has helped individuals. Like I said, I grew up in that era of my peers going to Job Corps, and it's because a lot of them were not going to school. They were dropping out of high school. Even in this clip, the young man is 16 and his mother is speaking for him. In a lot of these situations, there are no fathers present. The fathers these are at-risk youth. A lot of them who didn't come from stable backgrounds. And they end up having, at least, I would say, at least they had that as an alternative that they could turn to. My cousin, like I said, my cousins went to Job Corps. They, dropped out of high school and went to Job Corps. Did a lot of them fare out really well after Job Corps? No, they did not. Some did, some didn't. It still was a risk. It didn't guarantee that they were going to be successful. And I think having it there is a good thing because they had that alternative, but it wasn't a make or break for a lot of these young people. They still ended up not doing well, still ended up struggling, still ended up in poverty. A lot of them, they did not. Now, I think for some, yes, and it's not a one size, it's all one way. There are some who have benefited from it, and there's a lot of them who have not. And like I said, I know firsthand a lot of people who did not benefit from Job Corps. They still ended up in trouble. So it just depends on a lot of different factors, in my opinion. And once again, it goes back to the upbringing. If you come from a broken home, there was no father, no direction in that home. A lot of times these children go astray. And even with these resources, they still end up going astray. Now, is that everybody? No, of course. But it's just still not a guarantee that this is going to make you, be the best that you could be. It depends on the individual, their mentality, how they were raised. All of that plays a big, a big part in how they end up, in my opinion. And so I think, in my opinion, part of the reason I think it's going away is I think it may be, even though they're saying it is a small percentage of that they're putting into it. I think, y'all chime in. Y'all let me know y'all thoughts. These are just my opinions. They don't see any benefit to it. It's not benefiting them to keep these programs, even if it is hurting a certain group of people. I don't think they care. To be honest with you, I don't think they care. I don't think they care. I think it's all about whether it's benefiting them, whether, they don't care at this point, just like a lot of these other, government assistance programs are being cut. They're at a point now where the narrative is changing. They're not trying to, they don't care. They don't care. They don't care to a point now. And this is why, we talk so heavily about the Black community and Black women and how they're moving and how they've depended on these government programs for years and years and years, like Section 8, food stamps, all of these things that they've been thriving on and depending on, and not finding other ways to benefit themselves by finding other alternatives to make money and provide for themselves on a higher level where you don't need that. A lot of people just sit back and depend on these programs, not thinking that at any time these people decide that they don't want to cater to you anymore. They don't have to. It's not a requirement for them to give you public assistance. So if they want to tweak it, make you work for it, and of course, this is not the first time they've made you work for government assistance. So if that's what's happening, this is not the first time that's happened. And so if they want to change the requirements for you to qualify for these things, if they want to straight get rid of it, they can. It's not a guarantee. It's not the responsibility of the government or anybody else to actually take care of you and your families. And especially for people who create these broken homes to where you need this assistance and it's the only thing that you have and that's all you have to depend on, that's going to be a problem. And I would tell anybody, hey, if you are in a situation where you lose your job or you need assistance, I think the assistance should be there for people who actually need it, people who are going to use it for what it's supposed to be used for. And then you go back. When you get back together, you get back on your feet and you go to work, you don't need the programs. You know what I'm saying? Like, use it as a temporary help, but it's not something that you're supposed to just sit back and just don't work at all and completely depend on it. That's not how it was set up. And I think that's the problem. It's taking a lot of resources and people are just some people are using the system with no no real desire to do better. And to, so, and I think that's part of the problem. I really do. Hannibal, thank you for the super chat, says both sides are correct. American society promotes broken families, which produces neglected orphans and bastards. Pay for a job corps and not jail. Thank you so much, Hannibal. I appreciate your insight and your super chat. Thank you so much for the support. Yeah, I just think it can become a situation where it's just it's not beneficial to anyone. People are just trying to milk the system in certain cases, and that makes that would be more of a reason for them to decide, we're gonna make you work for it, or we're gonna just take it away, and it's gonna force you to have to do something else. You know what I mean? So I think I think there's a lot to it. Job Corps help women too who get pregnant in high school. Yeah, I know women and when we were young, a lot of my peers, girls and boys, went to Job Corps. Of course. Yeah, a lot of them went to Job Corps. And they came out, and a lot of them had more babies out of wedlock and still was on government assistance and still lived in the projects. I'm just saying. I went to school with individuals who are my age now, who went to Job Corps at like 16, got pregnant as teenagers, went to Job Corps, got out of Job Corps, ended up having more children. And at the time they were living with their mothers in the projects. They went to Job Corps, got out of Job Corps, came back, had more children, ended up getting their own projects with their kids, and still became a statistic. So this is why I'm saying it is not just the Job Corps, it's the mentality behind the individuals, the type of upbringing that you have. Like it has more to do with than just having the resources. It's what you do with the resources. Now, there are a lot of people who, like I said, it's mixed. There are people who go into these situations with a different mentality. They go in, they get the education or whatever, and they use it, and they come out and they do well. They elevate their lives. And there are a lot of them who do not. Like I said, there's a lot of them, and you have to look at the bigger picture. The bigger issue behind being raised in these broken homes with no fathers, no real stability, no real guidance. Because if you were raised in a household, for the most part, we know all of it's not set in stone, because we can all argue that, there's some 2-parent households where the kids came out crazy. Of course, but for the most part, if you're raised in a stable household where you have a stable mother and a father who are raising you right and teaching you right, you won't really have to go to Job Corps. Right? Am I just objectively? You don't see a lot of those individuals having to go to they go to school, they graduate, they end up either going to college or taking some type of trade classes or whatever they want to do, start a business or whatever. Usually they don't need those. They don't usually go to those resources because they're raised a certain way. They're taught a certain way. They're not raised in these broken homes where, a lot of, like I said, a lot of the people I grew up with either were selling drugs, the girls were teen mothers, getting government assistance, getting pregnant early, not really having no real structure, just out here wilding out, doing whatever. You know what I'm saying? They didn't really do a whole lot. A majority of them ended up on Section 8, living in government housing, using the government as their means of survival. I grew up in that and seen how those individuals have come out of it, and they're usually the main ones who are on it to this day, probably complaining about losing their Section 8 and all of that. People I grew up with. So, and I know that's probably not the majority of people, but that's the ones who are complaining about it. And whether they went to Job Corps or whatever, they get out and they still don't do the right things. So I just think, we got to look at it a little bit deeper than that. It's not just the fact that the program has helped people. Of course, it has helped a lot of individuals, but to what extent? Like, a lot of people get the help and they still don't do much more with that help once they've gotten it. And then they end up in the same predicaments that we're talking about now, depending on the government, and not doing much more. And then they all complaining when the government decides, hey, enough is enough, and they don't want to promote these programs anymore. What are you to do then? You get what I'm saying? But let's continue.
And then once they finally decide to end the program, instead of blaming the parents, the people that laid down and had these people, and it does not matter, like the YT women, no, the BW women are already in my comments on my last video calling me fruitcakes and sassy because of my opinion, but who else is it to blame besides somebody else's parents? This girl told me, oh, well, when I was in there, I didn't ask you what happened when you were there, okay? I don't care about what happened when you were there. The end of the story is, and the moral of the story is, there's no reason why y'all should continue to feel like we could just bust people places and the government take care of them. There's no reason why y'all just continue to feel like whatever happens that these parents, so we're just going to now be more of a burden when you were already a burden because where the family that they came from was already on food stamps and housing. Now you get to bust your ass off and they spend another $50,000 on you, and then only like 30% of the people are completing the program. And then y'all talking about, oh, well, of course they don't complete the program because they get to trade and go. So let me get this clear. Y'all drop out of high school because you want to follow in the footsteps of your parents of not being shit, to go to Job Corps, to get a trade, don't even completely finish the program, and then just go work off of that trade. Like, I'm not even gonna get into that because it's gonna piss a lot of people off, because having a trade is a flex. I'm not gonna say having a trade is not a flex, but y'all just have to stop, okay? Because y'all get on here and y'all make us look so bad with the shit that y'all say. It's always the white man. It is always the YT man. Y'all can never take responsibility and put the responsibility on who it truly belongs to, which is the people that laid down and had those kids. It does not matter if they went through whatever they went through, and that is the reason because they were abusive or doing drugs or whatever the case may be. That does not matter. The broader spectrum of it is the government is not responsible for taking care of our children, period.
Mother of a Job Corps student, similarly emotional about what will happen to the students left behind.
It's plenty of kids in that building who depend on that building that don't have nobody. Plenty of kids that don't have a parent or nobody in their family like me.
Nolan says she had to pick up her daughter from Job Corps without any notification from an official at the facility. She says the most painful part, never being allowed to help her child with her belongings.
To watch my baby bring all her belongings down with 4 other students who were residents here was heartbreaking. They done created a domino effect. Them kids in there, that aggression gonna come out some way, and all aggression don't come out in a helpful way.
What you mean the aggression is going to come out? Like, what? See, that's what I'm saying. These are children who have been raised in toxic environments. And when you see these young people in Job Corps, all you see is the mothers. If they have a mother, there's no fathers. There's the mother who raised those kids, who herself is dependent on these kids to be taken care of. Remember, they're providing shelter. Well, they provided shelter, food, and all of this. So it's not much she has to do as the parent. Because the problem is she was suffering to raise them by herself, and she depended on that as well, because she didn't have enough to raise that child or the resources. So that child going to Job Corps was a benefit to her. So now that Job Corps is ending, these kids got to go back home, meaning now you got to feed them. You got to figure out what you going to do with them and what they're going to do as the parent. And that's stressful to the parent more than the child, because now that's why they're there in the first place, if you really think about it. So we see a lot of single mothers who are frustrated with their teenagers, and they're trying to get rid of them and give them to the system because they're washing their hands of them. They're done. It's too much for them to have to deal with. So yeah, this is a benefit for the parents, because majority of these kids who are in there are raised by their mothers, or they don't have parents at all. And some of them have nowhere to go back to. And the ones that have somewhere to go back to, they're going to be frustrated about it because they don't know what to do with them. You know, that was a way for them to escape the responsibility. Somebody else, put it on somebody else. Even though it has helped some people, it's still an escape for the parent, because the parent is not in the position to actually take care of those kids. You know what I mean? And so it's something that you should know at some point these things are going to run out. At some point, this is going to run out. They're not going to continuously just do this. And you're going to have to figure out a better way if you're going to bring kids into the world, how you're going to take care of them through, for the long haul. You don't have children and then, thinking that when they become 16, 17 and all that, just because they become teenagers, you don't have the responsibility of them no more. No, you still have to feed them. You have to provide for them. You have to teach them. You have to train them. You have to raise them up show them the way that they should go, and help them in them getting on their own. That's the job of parents. But when you it's just you as a mother who was not thinking about the future of the children. This is why I say when people are out here making babies, they're not thinking about the long-term effects of creating a broken home. They're not thinking about how this is going to affect them and their children as they grow up. They're only thinking about themselves. It's a selfish act to bring a child into the world by yourself and not consider what this child is going to need in the future. You get what I'm saying? And not realizing that you don't really have all of the know-how and the resources to raise this kid by yourself. You think people are thinking about that when they out here screwing and dipping it and doing it? They're not thinking about that. They're doing what they want to do. They're having their fun, throwing it here, dropping it low, whatever. They're not thinking about, oh, if I bring a kid here and I know I'm irresponsible and the person I made the baby with is irresponsible. Oh shit, I'm gonna do this by myself, and I ain't really ready for a kid, but my mama told me don't get rid of it, so I'm gonna keep it. You're not thinking about long-term, how this child gonna thrive in school, and are they gonna get an education? What type of job are you gonna help them throughout all of this? No, because when the children are grown, when the children are teenagers, these mothers are still dipping it and doing it. They still out here trying to have a good time, trying to get to the D. They still trying to be young and dumb and have a good time and not look at the responsibilities of these children that you're bringing here. So the children end up falling into trouble and falling, back in school and end up not finishing school. And their mental process is all over the place because they're in a toxic situation. They don't have a father around. That's weighing on them. They're trying to cope with their issues and their things, and they can't go to their mother. All she's doing is running out trying to have fun and yelling at him because she looking at him as a liability and mad because things aren't going the way she wants them to go. So now these children are confused and they start getting into trouble and hanging with the wrong crowds. And next thing you know, either some of them in jail or with juvenile records and all this. And then that's where you got to go to Job Corps. Now Job Corps is here. Go try to get your shit together. And you do that, and then you do it a little bit. Maybe you finish, maybe you don't. Then you're back on the streets. You still ain't got a job because you don't have no guidance. You don't have that father figure there telling you, "Hey, this there, get it together," and holding you accountable. The mother is on you. It's a lot mentally that a lot of these young people go through, and I don't think most people are not thinking of that mental any of this when they're out just making children. Just willy-nilly. They're not thinking of the long-term effects that this has on a child. They're only thinking about their self-gratification, and that is it. And then they want to just do this when it gets to be too much. So these programs are beneficial to the majority of the broken homes of individuals who decided that they was going to bring children into this world without any fathers, without any stability. So if you don't have any stability and you bringing children into an unstable environment, what type of child do you think you mostly going to get? You're going to get an unstable child who's confused and lost and don't know which way to go. So that's why they say the majority of the individuals who are in jail come from broken homes, single mother homes, and you see why. So I say that to say it's a deeper issue of what we have to focus on than just the programs. The programs are there, but if only 30% of the individuals are finishing the programs and moving forward and doing better, how beneficial is it really? You know what I'm saying? And I think you would think that with these resources that there will be a higher completion rate, that the majority of these people have this opportunity and they take advantage of it fully and really benefit from it and really thrive and do well by completing it after all these years. Job Corps has been around for a long time. You know what I mean? And I could honestly say the people that I know who was in it, they didn't really maximize their possibilities. And I'm just being honest. Now, I know that some people have benefited from it, but I'm just saying, just in my little anecdotal world, the majority of the people that went to Job Corps, they didn't maximize it. They end up not far from where they started when they went. And shout out to the people who had it and used it and actually did well and benefited. But I just, I don't see the majority of people using it and benefiting from it at the maximum possibility. Sometimes it just starts to be a crutch. It's something that's there for you to just, kind of use as a crutch because you have no other you don't feel you have no other avenues, and you just sort of like government assistance. And we're going to talk about that too in the food stamps. People be on that stuff for years. They have children, their children grow up and they still on it, and then their children get on it. You know what I mean? It becomes a perpetual thing, and they just think, oh, it's just here for us to just get it, and we don't have to do anything. And then as soon as the government says, oh no, you got to work for these benefits, or you got to do this, you got to do that, everybody's mad and complaining. I'm just saying. Let's continue.
Hey, well, CPR justifying Job Corps being shut down. It's kind of weird to flex and want disadvantaged and low-income children to not have an opportunity to better themselves, and they could, possibly be homeless. But the government wants them to not have a lot of opportunities. They want them to either go to prison. They want them to enlist in the army, or they want them to, desperate worker. But anyway, did you know that
But why is prison an option? I mean, it shouldn't. And that's why I say it speaks to a bigger picture. Why, when it comes to our community or the poor Black community, a poor community, whatever you want to call it, why is it all prison has to be the option? Why are so many of our people, the options are a Job Corps or a prison? Or, why isn't the options higher up? Why is it the bottom of the barrel when it comes to options with us? And of course, like, even if we count in, which we should count in, the systemic racism and issues there, that as much as a lot of people don't like to address that or talk about it, it is a part of our fabric it's a part of the fabric of this country. So we have to acknowledge that is an issue, that has been an issue. We just can't ignore it and throw it out the window. I'll never do that. But so we have to include that there have been that, but there have been people who have been at the center of real hardcore racism and all of that at the core of it, who, the people, generations before us who actually lived in Jim Crow and actually lived through real hardcore racism and still have done more than the individuals that we have now in modern society who are still claiming racism and a white man holding us back. The individuals who actually went through Jim Crow and a lot of the real racism, blatant racism, and still have been able to thrive and do more than the people who are not experiencing it half as bad as they did back in the 60s and the 50s and all. There's those people, a lot of those people still did better than what we're seeing now, if we really look at it. So how did a lot of those individuals in the heart of racism, in the heart of Jim Crow and all of the things that were blatantly set in stone, and where there were laws to prevent, ninjas from doing this and doing that, and a lot of those people thrived and pushed through, and a lot of them were successful. How does that happen? And now we have a lot of people out here who are using it as an excuse and doing far less than the individuals who actually faced it did in the past. That part, I look at, you know what I'm saying? So I do think sometimes we can like take advantage of situations and use excuses a lot of times and not really, do what's necessary to pull through and do what you need to do. I do think that it has to do with a certain mentality. If you weren't raised you weren't pushed to do well and excel, and you didn't have support behind you, meaning your parents. And I think people minimize how important the support of parents really are, or really is. I don't think people really like to focus on the real benefit it is to have two parents, supportive parents, who are there supporting their kids and pushing them to excel. I think people really try to minimize that because they don't want to really think that has anything to do with the outcomes of our youth and where they are when it comes to these issues. I think nobody really wants to get to the core of it and really think about the family dynamic, the family structure, and how that plays a real part in how our children thrive or not thrive. I really think people don't want to focus on that because they don't want to really look at the fact that makes a difference. It really does. Jontel, thank you for the super chat, says she should suggest this is an opportunity to refresh and get back to family values because having kids within the marriage gives a better opportunity. Thank you. Thank you, Jontel. I believe that. And I just think And thank you, Jontel, for the super chat. I appreciate it. I think a lot of people don't want to focus on that because that's not the narrative. That's not what you want to do. Oh, I'm single and I'm raising my kids and they're just fine. You don't really want to think that having stable mothers and fathers there guiding your children has a big part on how they think, how they move, what they do, what type of individuals they become in society. People don't want to really focus on that because that is not, that was not, you know what I'm saying? That's not the narrative in modern society. And you know, and if we're saying that a lot of broken homes, single mother-led households, these kids end up in trouble, end up in jail. Well, this once again, in regards to Job Corps and all of that, this is why a lot of those individuals have to go in that way in the first place. Because if you had stable parents who were successful, you know what I mean, who had careers and either went to college or had a trade or had, you know, business or whatever, successful, then more than likely those kids become successful because you're going to teach them how to become successful like you. Once again, everything is not set in stone. It's not all, but the majority of it we know works. When you have intact family structure with the fathers and the mothers there in the children's lives, those kids tend to do better. They tend to do that. They don't need Job Corps. They don't need to go that route. They have something in place because they have parents there who are supporting and guiding them. When you don't have guidance, when you don't have supportive parents, when it's the blind leading the blind, what do you think is going to happen? This is why these programs are there, because these kids usually are the ones who are struggling. They're in trouble. That's the reason why they're quitting school. They're impoverished. They don't have money, or they're getting into trouble. This is why they have to go there in the first place. Let's continue.
Army has a success rate of only 25%. So are we not talking about that? He spends $136,000 per year per soldier. Do you really think that the government really cares about how much money they are spending on that program? Let's be for real. It is a small, very small percentage. They barely see it. I swear they don't. And did you know that the deficit still grows after they announce their new budget? It doesn't matter. They're not trying to save money. They just want to spend money on what they want to spend it on. But you don't want to put it towards the youth. You don't want to better things for disadvantaged youth. You don't want them to have an opportunity, just like you're cutting funding to universities.
Well, you know, and I get what she's saying, but at the same time, do the parents really care about educating their youth? Because it's your child at the end of the day. Do you even care about investing into your child? You know, and I understand, you know, being disadvantaged. I come from that. I come from disadvantaged youth. I come from being disadvantaged, raised in the housing projects. I come from it. So I 100% understand it. And, you know, and I can also understand too, that a lot of, you know, my parents and other parents did not invest in their child's youth themselves. A lot of these women did not work. I grew up in it. When I say it, I mean it. I grew up in it. They didn't want to work. They didn't work. They sat back and they got that little bit of government assistance, and they didn't care about benefiting the children. They knew if you're on government assistance and you have 3 children and you get $234 a month, that is not enough. That is poverty. But they were okay with it. You sat back for years receiving $234 for 3 children a month and maybe $500 worth of food stamps. And that is supposed to be enough to take care of 3 kids? Without a father in sight there to help. These women were out here just having a good time, depending on the government to take care of them and their kids. And those kids, that wasn't enough to raise a family of 4. And then they don't learn. You keep on doing it over and over and over again. And it's a cycle. And this is why I'm saying, if you as the parent don't care about your child's well-being and education to do enough to prepare them for their future, why should anybody else? And why is it, you know, if the government decide, like I said, they don't want to support these programs, then there's nothing you can do about it. What is your recourse of taking care of your child, your children that you brought into the world besides the government? So even if you've gotten help from the government, I understand that. Everybody go through hard times. I get it. But what I'm saying is that shouldn't be your end all be all of how you take care of you and your kids. The responsibility should always be on the parents because they're your kids. And this is why I understand when people say, hey, if you broke and you have no money, then maybe you shouldn't have children. There's a point to that because at the end of the day, you are liable for your child because that's your child. You shouldn't be dependent. If you fall short, once again, I said it the other day, listen, for working parents, working people who are working full-time jobs, paying their bills, thriving in life, if they happen to lose their job and need some assistance, I think the assistance should be there for them. I think the people who pay into society should be able to have something there just in case if they fall short to temporarily help them stay on afloat until they get back to work. That's what I think those government programs should be there for, not for people who just sit back year after year after year after year after year. Your kids grow up and you still dependent on government assistance. And then your kids repeat the cycle, have a child, then boom, oh girl, go get your food stamps, girl, go get your project. I've seen it happen in real time, in real life. This is why, and when I was younger, I didn't understand it. And as I got older, I started to see what it was. But they try to play this mind game on you and make you think that, oh, it's just a sympathy party. Well, they should because the white people, this and that and all that. No, you don't. You're lazy. You don't want to work. You don't want to work. You watch other people thrive and other family members work and thrive and buy houses and all, and you still sitting here getting government assistance and not trying to do anything to better your circumstances. And so when you don't do that, what do you think is going to happen with your children? They're going to repeat that pattern. Some of them will look at it and they're disgusted about it and they do something totally different. But the majority of them sit back and think, oh, okay, this is what I do. Oh, okay. Have babies. Oh, okay. Oh, go apply for food stamp. Oh, get a project. Oh, because that's what it was growing up. If the children grow up, have babies. Oh, now I'm going to get my own project. It's just, it is not a good look. It's not a good look. It's really not. It's really not. And so, I understand it because I come from it. I was raised in it and I understand how, and I look at it as to me, it's a crutch. It's a crutch that keep you stuck. It's not really, government assistance doesn't really benefit you if you depend on it. It just makes you feel entitled. Even if it's a small amount that you're getting, it makes you feel entitled and think that in every situation, somebody's supposed to help you. Somebody's supposed to do this. And I've seen it. Literally, when I say I've seen it, it's right in front of me. You know what I'm saying? I watched this go down. And as a young person, I used to be looking at it like, well, why don't you get a job? Like, I don't understand. No job, don't do nothing. Just sit back, get this little bit of money. A lot of them were afraid to get work because I remember when you went to get a job, then they would base your benefits on how much money you made. So that means if you went and got a job and you made a certain amount, they would base your amount on however much you're making. Your benefits would get cut. Either they will get cut or taken completely away because you no longer qualify for the benefits. If you make a certain amount, it's not over a certain amount, then they will cut your benefits. So I know people personally who would not go to work afraid that they're going to cut the benefits. The benefits ain't nothing but $240 a month. You go get a job, you could make way more than that. But because you don't have to work to get it, you rather sit back and take that little bit of money so you don't have to work and just sit there, even though it's not enough for you to raise you and your kids. Make it make sense. That sounds lazy to me. You would think that you would feel more gratified going out to work, making more than that, because at least you can provide for your children a little bit better. And it's a bit more money, but they rather sit back and neglect a job because you're afraid they're going to cut your benefits. So they're going to cut you from 240 to what? 230 to what? All of it's bad. That ain't enough. And so your children suffer the consequences. So if you're willing to do that, come on now, as they get older, you ain't really supporting them in nothing major because you ain't doing nothing major yourself. So yeah, it's just a mentality that just needs to change. I'm just saying. Let's continue.
They only want privileged people to go to college, and y'all are playing right into it, right into the truth.
I'm so sad Job Corps is closing. I went to Job Corps when I was 16, 38 now, but I don't know where I would be without Job Corps. I did not have a stable life. I was like in and out of foster homes. At that time, I was living with my mom. I had dropped out of high school. My mom was a raging alcoholic. We did not have a stable life at all. It was pretty bad. And I kind of didn't know what to do. So I signed up for Job Corps, lived there. I got a little allowance. I met a bunch of friends and I was able to get my GED and a CNA certification. Some people stayed longer and got their license. And like I got jobs. I had friends who had got jobs at the prisons. I worked as a CNA for a little bit. And then with my GED, I was able to join the Navy. Which helped me see more of like life and bigger picture, and that I didn't have to be a victim of my circumstances. I didn't have to go back to where I was from and live like all these other people that are there. No shade. It's just that, you know, when you come from a low income area, it's kind of like if you don't see anything else, you don't see another way out. So Job Corps afforded me that opportunity. So I joined the Navy, got out, I went to school for X-ray, got an associate's in X-ray, then got a bachelor's in imaging, and now I'm getting a master's in healthcare informatics. And I think that all began with Job Corps.
They're not cutting Job Corps because it's expensive. If anything, it's a class war that the federal government has now instilled on the American people. Job Corps literally provides housing and training opportunities for young people who otherwise would not have that option. What are we doing? What are we doing? Because let's run back the cause and effect of this. You're closing 99 locations, basically overnight, of kids 16 to 26 who now don't have a place to live, who now will have to take really poor paying jobs, join the military, take other avenues to get income, and end up incarcerated and then work for free. If anyone tells you it's because of funding, that's bull. Because this is a drop in the bucket when it comes to funding. There is not a lot of money spent on this, and there should be. What we should be doing is investing more money in young people to be able to strive and take good jobs. I promise you our economy would be doing better, but we will see the repercussions of what this will do for young people and our economy at large.
And you know, I think she has a point. She has a point. But see, this is where I'm thinking differently. Like if we're gonna focus on young people, focus on what's beneficial to young people. What do we know would be beneficial to young people? Yes, I do think that training programs and all that could be beneficial. I think that's something that should be in place. And I know they have been, like training programs to help you right out of high school. Why don't we promote something more? Once again, in my opinion, shout out to you, Liddell Jefferson. Thank you so much for the generous super chat. I appreciate you. Says speak. Thank you. I appreciate the generous super chat. Thank you so much for being here and for supporting the channel. Thank you so much once again. I appreciate you, Liddell. But once again, the thing that I think a lot of people are missing is we're pushing a society of imbeciles. We're pushing a society of promiscuity. We're pushing a society of independent women. I can do it all by myself. The main thing that's missing in all of these situations is a lot of these individuals, once again, don't have fathers in their lives. They don't have stable households. So I think if we start to push more stable communities, stable households, let's push stop making babies out of wedlock. Let's push, hey, close that cooch up, close it down for big business. Let's get to the root of the cause. Stop making these children, all these babies out by Pookie and Ray Rays, and then depending on the government to take care of them. Let's start there. Let's start there because I think that's what we need to start. So if these programs are closing and you can no longer depend on them, there's nothing you can do about it. Start doing something, doing something that you can do. And the things that women can do is start pushing not making babies out of wedlock, not making babies until you have a stable man and a stable marriage. And then you know that y'all both are stable enough financially to take care of these children, where you're thinking about their future and how they're going to thrive and things like that. Let's start there, because that will prevent a lot of this. It will prevent a lot of us especially in our communities, from having to depend on these programs. You won't have so much of the what she says, impoverished youth, or you won't have as much of that if we start thinking smarter with our choices when it comes to making these babies out of wedlock. We got to start there, because if we don't have, if we're prioritizing family and the family structure and making sure we're stable, and then our husbands are stable, and we come together, and then we bring children, and then we're more prepared for it, then maybe you don't need Job Corps. You don't have the impoverished, struggling youth in the Black community. You won't have that, because everybody will be thriving. You'll be more prepared to raise these children and give them some insight on where they need to go in their lives. You know what I'm saying? More prepared for their futures. So maybe we need to start there, because you can't depend on these government programs. So do something different. Calvin Cook says, get a man and keep him. It still works. Thank you. Thank you, Calvin. I appreciate you for the super chat. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's just what it is. Discipline and structure wins every time. It does. It definitely does. But I just think, once again, people take advantage of things, and a lot of times they still don't end up in a better place. And it's just sitting there. If it's not producing more jobs, and if it's not producing more stable individuals, if they're not coming out of there really doing something major, then I can see why they want to do away with it. If it's not really benefiting, really helping the majority of the people in it, why keep paying for it if it's not really working? Because it's more than just having it there. Like I said, it's of a mentality. If you're raised to not do nothing, if you're raised to be a deadbeat, if you're raised to just lollygag and not really put your best foot forward, it don't matter how many programs are there. People can help you all the time. I've seen so many situations where individuals, you give them a hand up. You say, here, I'm gonna help you because I want to invest in your help. And they still screw that over. The same way I've seen a bunch of women who were put in situations, they have programs where if you're a single mother, you can get housing where they'll pay like the first year of your rent. So they'll pay your whole year of rent for a woman with children, and help you find a job. And then the next year, okay, you have a year to find a job, and then you have to be responsible for the rent at that point. So they give you a chance. How many of you guys been in a position where somebody said, I'm gonna help you, brother. I see you struggling and you trying. I'm gonna get you a place, put you in a place, and pay the first year of your rent so you can get it together. I think the majority of individuals who are really trying to do better, they will take that as an opportunity to get it together. You got a whole year to find a job and get it together, to pay your rent, somebody to help you. Most people will take advantage of that and do better, but a lot of them will take advantage of the situation, and that year comes around, baby, they still ain't found a job, and then end up getting put out the place. So is that somebody? And that's what I've seen more of. People who just take advantage of that. They don't give a damn. I'm going to sit here and take this free rent. And then when the year's up, you got to get the hell out because you didn't get a job. Now that's somebody giving you a chance, giving you an opportunity, helping you out. But if you don't want to help yourself, you're going to continue to be in that situation. So there's no excuse for that. And I think a lot of the times that's what we see happening. People are helping you. They are giving you a hand up, but you don't want to, you're lazy. You don't want to do shit for yourself. So I can lead you to the water, but I can't make you drink it. I can help you all day, but if you don't want to help yourself, goddamn it, you're gonna stay right there. And that's what we see. And I think that's a problem. I really do. I think that's a problem. Let's continue.
It also means if you're a business owner or you work in an organization that you know is hiring, see if you have a Job Corps location near you. See if you can take some of those students who now are going to be looking for employment opportunities and training opportunities.
I think all of us were. So those are going to be youth that have income that's below the federal poverty level. We see a lot of youth that have not succeeded in traditional school settings.
Because of the pause of operations set by the U.S. Department of Labor, BAB says by June 5th, students living at the center will have to be gone.
It was all they had. It's beyond a job training. It is the only support system that they have.
And all operations paused, temporary or not. BADS feels this experience will have a long-lasting effect.
I think for a lot of them, it feels like a repeat of what they've already experienced in their lives, and that's abandonment.
Y'all heard that President Trump done shut down Job Corps? That shit is going to be ended as of June 30th.
He called me, come and pick him up. I don't know what to do. All he do is go to school and try to, learn and try to get a career so he can get a scholarship so he can get a good job.
I understand that. This is what they need. No, they don't have a nursing school here.
Once she had finished this school for 6 months, they was gonna send her out of town for the schooling for nurse. So now I don't know what she gonna do. Oh, no. Ooh.
The government don't gamble like regular folk. They just put a little more on whoever already win. And make no mistake, them closing Job Corps right now is them placing a live bet. If you look up why Job Corps is getting shut down, you'll see concerns around fiscal issues and safety. Let's deal with them one at a time so I can explain to you why they bullshit. On the fiscal issues, Job Corps was federally funded, which a lot of people mistakenly think that to mean Job Corps was free. Nah, federal funding is an investment. Scholarships, grants are investments. And the moment that they stop being lucrative for the government, they're no longer going to place their bets like I was talking about before. The government ain't never did shit out the kindness of their motherfucking heart. So when they say, oh, it's fiscal issues, what they really saying is, we can no longer exploit y'all, so your services are no longer needed. Now, second, on the safety note, is really where I feel like they insult niggas' intelligence, because what they're citing is 14,000 infractions, right? They're saying there were 300 cases of sexual assault, which I am in no way looking past. That is absolutely not okay. And they're citing like 1,000 or some acts of violence or whatever it was. Since we talk about federal places being fucked up due to misconduct, let's talk about the good old boys. In New Jersey, 460 officers faced major discipline from a range of misconduct, going from giving niggas not showing up to work on time to literal acts of domestic violence. And come to find out, the Attorney General reported that over 10,000 officers were investigated for their misconduct. So when we talk about federal places needing to be put on pause, you know what I'm saying, for misconduct and shit, please do not fucking insult my intelligence, bro. To pull all that shit back, and why what's happening with Job Corps is so important is because you now have a whole bunch of motherfuckers coming with 3 degrees with 20 years experience, and it's like they mad because they got all these degrees and all this experience, and now they just the manager of a department store, and it's like, yeah, that's a problem, but at the same time, you the manager of a department store, you still got something to like give your kids some food. The people who needed that motherfucking job, this leaves them without a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. And those people are the people that Job Corps was producing. See, now we all peep game from the crooked politician who would just say, oh, now the answer to all this shit is just to vote for me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to let this shit happen either. I got a problem with it. The whole time, their problem with it is that they not benefiting from the problem.
All right. So I want to make sure, hit the like button, y'all. Please hit the like button. Let's see how many likes we got. We got 137 people watching, about 142 watching. And we only got 91 likes. Please hit the like button, y'all. Go ahead, hit the like button. Hit the like button before we move on. Hit the like button, y'all. So listen, Black people begging for a program that is trash and losing money. Black people love being poor. Child. I don't know. I think a lot of, you know, there's a lot that could be said. I want to get y'all thoughts on it. But let's move on to this real quick.
Day 4. Day 4 of no food stamps. Day 4 of not being able to afford groceries for me and my 6 children. Because somebody decided to report my TikTok income to the state of Michigan. So they took my food stamps. Not only did they take my food stamps, my cash assistance, my disability checks are on hold. They're not going to pay my rent next month. They're not sending me a check for my utilities that I get every month. How the hell am I supposed to survive?
Indeed you do. Indeed Instant Match.
Clearly, this is not just a Black thing. We know that. We know it's just not just a Black thing. We know that. But baby, listen, you know what's funny is there are a lot of so-called boss chicks out here, right, who are claiming boss chick status, and they get Section 8, food stamps, cash assistance. Some of them get SSI. They get vouchers for utility bills, and God knows what else. There are a lot of people who get all of that. They pay no utilities. They pay, but they don't pay no electricity. They don't pay no rent. They don't pay, but they got Bentleys. Not Bentley. They got BMWs outside. They got Mercedes-Benz. Is that, yeah, whatever. Mercedes-Benz sitting outside. They Section 8 houses and apartments. They got, you know, they got expensive 2020, whatever the year is, vehicles out there. They wearing the latest Jordans and Louboutins and Hermes, they all this expensive Gucci, they wearing all this shit, and they're not paying no rent, no utilities, no nothing. But they paying that, and they're getting somebody on their roster to pay the car note and that stuff. They're not even this. And a lot of times when these women are out here talking about they need a man to pay their rent, that ain't going to no damn rent. That's going in their pockets because they don't even pay rent themselves. So it's just, and then one day they get mad why these people are cutting this stuff off when you got all these women on social media bragging and complaining about they don't need no man and they got this and got that. Okay, the government is watching. They're paying attention. They're looking at how you're spending, what you wear. So if you can afford all that, baby, you don't need us. You don't need us. This is supposed to be for people who are really who truly need it. I think for the people who truly need it, people who are elderly or maybe disabled, who really cannot work. You know what I mean? That's who that should be for. That's why they're cutting down this stuff for able-bodied individuals who could work, who are out here exposing themselves on TikTok, making it known that you're finessing the system and all of this. There's a literal video, which I want to play it. I want to play this video of this woman literally confessing to lying to get government assistance. While I'm here, I want to pull that up and play it because this is crazy. This is crazy.
Like, girl, how you get food stamps? I wish I get food stamps. Bitch, you better start lying. Bitch, that lady called me and said, ma'am, I said, yes, ma'am. She gonna say, what's your address? I said, ma'am, I don't have no address. I've been homeless for 3, 4, or 5 months. I have nothing. My family won't let me stay with them, ma'am. I'm starving. While I'm kicked back in a motherfucking 3-bedroom and everything, living lovely. Then she gonna say, ma'am, what's your job title? I say, ma'am, they won't hire me anywhere. I don't have no job. I've been putting application after application. It's just like nothing work. Yeah, that lady was on the phone. She said, ma'am, I'm so sorry for all of this that you're going through. She said, we just shipped your card out. You should have about $1,000 on your card from last month and this month, and your balance and your payment every month is gonna be $300.
Now, no. I want to point this out too, because somebody has said, not here, but somebody has said that, men get this assistance too. Okay. Yeah, there are some men who get government assist food stamps, but it's a small percentage. And on top of that, the ones who get it, child, they be getting like $36 a month. $40 a month because it's just them. So the majority of the individuals who are getting this are these single mothers with the 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 baby daddies. I grew up with a woman who had like 10, 12 children. And it looked like she would just have them back to back to back. And then she would brag about every child that this is when every child that you would get, that child get a certain amount. So the more children you have, the more you get. So she was getting a whole bunch of stamps back then. Had like 10, 12 children. She wasn't married, just having them because you get more money. You get more food stamps, you get more money. And a lot of people were doing that. The more children you have, the more money you would get. Even though altogether, it's still not a lot of money. It's still a little bit of money. But it's a lot if you don't have to work for it. So, it's an issue. It's an issue. And so there are people, somebody say veterans, right? Veterans, people, disabled, elderly, people who actually can't work. Those are the people who should get it. There are people who should get it. But if you're 25 and you got 4 kids and you're able to work, you need to get up and go do something with your life. You shouldn't be sitting here depending on, even if you needed it for a short period of time, like I said, and you're working towards something better, I can understand that. But you got to get to that better to where you don't need it. There are people who are still out here scamming the system and still getting it. And claim, look like this woman and claiming you don't have nothing, and then you get on social media and brag about it, and you think you're supposed to continuously getting it when there are people who actually need it. So yeah, come on now. Let's continue.
And bitch, I was like, thank you so much, man. Like, you just don't understand how hungry I've been. Let me tell y'all something. This was wrong with y'all. I know y'all mama ain't tell y'all. Bitch, you don't gotta tell everybody the motherfucking truth.
Now she facing 35.
Yeah, why the fuck the police came knocked on my door. Literally moments after I made that video about the food stamp people saying I owed them $35,000. They fucking booked me in jail for fucking fraud. I'm currently walking down the streets because, bitch, soon as they released me, bitch, I got the fuck. I'm waiting on my mama to pull up in my car and pick me up. I didn't make it to a damn neighborhood down the street from the motherfucking jailhouse. I don't know where the fuck I'm at. I'm just keep pushing. Like, what the fuck? Like, I cannot believe this happened, y'all. Do not lie. I swear to God, this shit caught up to me so fast. I literally just was talking about this on TikTok the other day. Now look at me. So not only do I owe them $35,000, I'm literally fighting this fucking case. Like, where I'm gonna get the money from, y'all? I was just hungry as fuck. I don't have money to keep buying food. Like, what the fuck? Oh my God. Maybe when people be like, girl, how you get food stamps?
This is crazy. But this goes to show you. And then somebody said, "Good dummy." You get on social media as if that's a safe place to post all your business, and then you lying about it. Now you're not gonna get the assistance. Now you owe these people. You owe them. But then they on here bragging. You got women on here bragging about, I get $2,000-$3,000 of food stamps and all that. Yeah, I get it. I don't gotta pay this and all that. Like, come on now. And I'm pretty sure veterans don't even get that much. I don't even think veterans, people who have died and served for their country, I don't even think they get the amount of money that these women are getting. Because remember, if you are a single man, they're not giving you much. You're not getting much. You're not getting much. But these women with these kids, they're getting thousands and thousands of food stamps. And they're bragging about it. And they're claiming they don't have no work. Just like you don't have no job. You don't know why you living good. Gucci from head to toe probably. A lot of them. So yeah, and once again, like I said, this is not a new thing. I've grew up seeing this. Back then, they head to the mall. You go into the mall, come back with Dahlia Greens and Nike and whatever. Getting remember the name plates and shit. The what you call them, the earrings, the monogram earrings and all that was popular back then. Gold teeth, like come back with a mouthful of golds, a mouthful of fronts. You're getting this on while you living in the projects getting government assistance. I mean, name brand tennis shoes. What was popular back then? What was it? All kind of whatever the popular stuff. They going to the mall getting it with them making $200 on a goddamn welfare check and food stamps. You sure ain't got no diapers, wearing them saggy pissy ass diaper, walking around with no clothes on, crying, wet and snotty nose on the outside while you going to the mall, waiting by the tear the damn mail area down, waiting for the mailman to come out to go in line, get them damn checks, some Liberty checks, and go to the damn mall to get some Dahlia Greens and and then they all have goals and fronts, and that's it. Goals walking around looking stupid with stacks. Y'all remember stacks? Getting your stacks done. Your big gold-plated chains with your name on it and your rings and your earrings and you lit. You lit. And that's it. There ain't nobody was going to work until they said y'all had to go to work to get that assistance. Then they all coming out at 8:00 with their housekeeping uniforms on, going to work because they forced you to. So listen, when I say I grew up in it, I grew up in it. I saw it before all of this. This is not a new thing. And a lot of those individuals, they just transferred from the projects to Section 8. They went from the projects to Section 8. So the projects was free. They didn't work. If you worked, they would make you pay something, but they didn't want to pay nothing, So that went from, let's knock down the projects. Now we're going to move y'all. We're going to give y'all vouchers. They automatically got vouchers to go get in housing, apartments, people who actually, who actually took part in the voucher program. They were able to go and they filled up apartment complexes. Start tearing them people damn apartment complexes down, treating it like the projects. Graffiti and trash, just no respect for your surroundings or anything. I lived through this. I'm telling you. It's no different. It's just social media is exposing it now. They went from that to the apartments. So yeah, it's just crazy. Let's move on, you guys. Make sure y'all hit the like button. Please hit the like button now. Now, y'all at least hit the like button. Come on now. Y'all, we got 170 people watching, y'all. We got 111 likes. Come on, please hit the like button. Y'all fingers working? Hit the like button now. It's free. Come on now. So hit the like button, y'all. Let's move on.
Donald Trump, man, he ain't right, man. He cut the food stamps off. That was wrong, man. When he cut them food stamps off, I didn't see nobody posting no plates that week. Motherfuckers used to be on there. I got that mashed potato with the rice, with the gravy. They was posting God quotes all that week. This too shall pass.
Pauline, how many children do you have? 3. You expecting another one?
Yes.
How old are you?
21.
You have enough children, Pauline?
Yes.
Did anybody ever tell you that?
Yes.
Who else told you that?
Everybody.
So add my voice to the rest of the pack. You have enough children, there are other things to do in your spare time.
Stuff. This is not me, y'all. I'm fighting for my life. Y'all killing me with this.
Get your big nasty ass up, go get in the tub. Get in the tub now, right now.
4,000 of Metro Atlantans are finding out they are no longer eligible for food stamps. The change affects Cobb, Gwinnett, and Hall counties. Chancellor Sophia Choi is live in Cobb County. And Sophia, this involves able-bodied adults who are now required to go to work.
Got him. Got him.
So Trump ain't playing, y'all. This was effective only almost immediately. I got this in the mail. If you're an able-bodied adult without dependents, you need to be working because you will not be receiving food stamps anymore. Okay? Yeah. And when you are eligible to receive these food stamps, it would only be every 3 months out of every 3 years. So within a 3-year period, 36 months, it would only be 9 out of those 36 months. Yeah, get a job.
So I got a letter from the food stamp office, DFACS, saying they would cut me off if I don't volunteer for 20 hours a week for $292 a month. That breaks down to like $3 an hour. That is insane. Job hunting is a full-time.
I get food stamps. I get WIC. I get state medical insurance. My kids get free lunch. This thing that's happening, is it true? Like, am I going to have food stamps next month? Are my kids going to be able to eat lunch after Monday? Am I going to get WIC next month? Can I fill my prescriptions next week? Does anyone know what's really going on and like how it's working? Because I know it's supposed to go into effect at like 5 o'clock tonight, but then a judge put the school lunch part off until Monday. But how am I supposed to buy food next month? How am I supposed to buy milk next month? What are my kids gonna eat at school and at home? And how am I supposed to pay for my medication? Any answers would be appreciated.
How many days has it been? 8 days. 8 fucking days, y'all. And
But I mean, okay, what are you gonna do, boo? If your kids can't eat, they can't. What the? I'm lost for. You know, look, I am empathetic. Believe it or not, y'all. I am not mean, but at some point you gotta wake up. You know what I mean? It's not about. I'm not even trying to be mean. I'm just like. Did you consider how your kids gonna eat before you had them? God damn, if you so you get a government assistance, and if anything, that's it's a should be a supplemental assistance. Supplemental meaning, you know, somebody mentioned working class. So yeah, to me, the people working out here, and we see how everything is going up. You know, I think there are some instances where there are people who can use it and who need it. That I then give it to the people who need it. But I'm saying but I'm saying if you're working and yeah, because I think that is the stipulation. They're not cutting it completely off. They're saying, oh, you're gonna have to make sure that you work. So they're not coming for the if I'm not mistaken, I don't think Trump is coming for the people who work. So if you're working, you're the working class, but you need a little extra because things are just so. I don't think they're cutting them off. They're cutting the able-bodied ones who don't have kids or don't work, the ones who don't have a job. Now, if you don't get a job, I think you have to do either community service or you have to do something to show that you're being productive to get it. Those are the ones that are being that are getting the letters that are being cut off. The ones who don't have a job at all, claim like this girl lying, claiming she don't work and she's struggling or she homeless. Those are the ones who you don't do anything. You don't work, you don't do anything. And you're just sitting up here getting a check or getting assistance, then those are the ones that are in question, who are going to have to show some type of work or history or community service, I think, or something like that you're going to have to do to get it. So they're not coming for the working poor. Those people are working. They actually need the extra help because they're not making enough to sustain their lives. So they qualify for the little extra. But no, they're talking about the ones who just sitting back, not doing anything. You don't work, you get up and just don't even wipe the crust out your eyes and wash your face. And you just get up and you just go to the store and you get groceries. You don't work. You don't plan on working. You don't intend on looking for a job. Those are the ones. Yeah, the ones who just sitting back, just mooching off the system. Those are the ones that are going to have to get up and do something. Let's continue.
I'm tired, honey. I'm tired. I was going to get on here and just go on a rant, but I was just like, you know what? I'm not even going to say anything. Now they attacking the food stamps, the government assistance, and all that good stuff. We on day 8, y'all. We on day 8. What's next? It seems like every time I literally roll over, I don't even get the crust out of my eyes yet. I barely be awake, honey. And I literally tap the first app. The first app. It might be IG. It might be over here. And the first thing I see is something else about what Trump is fucking up. Something else he changing. Some else he pausing, some else he doing away with. And you know what I don't see? What I barely see these days? His supporters rallying and windmilling in the comments. Where y'all at? I ain't heard a peep from you motherfuckers. Hello? So now y'all see it's affecting y'all. Y'all on mute. It's crickets. It's Nathan. And I find it mighty fucking funny.
I don't know if y'all heard or not, but Trump is getting rid of that Section 8 and EBT for these people that don't want to get out here and go to work. Your time is up, baby. Y'all, I know most people like us really not feeling Trump, but I'm kind of feeling him on what he's saying about this. Now, how many of y'all have family members, friends, people you know that's been living off Section 8 for 20 years? They rent $3. They don't go to work. Not that they can't go to work. They don't want to go to work. Now, let me say this on the sidebar. They do have some people that need Section 8. Some people that, medically, they can't go to work. Or, they just can't physically. I get it. I'm not talking to y'all. I'm talking to these ones that your mama been on Section 8 all her life and she ripping and running and doing this and doing that. And then you seen she was on Section 8, paid $3 rent. So now you as a young girl, because you done got pregnant and you got a baby, you go run out there and get on Section 8 and you ain't working and you having child after child after child and y'all all on Section 8 getting food stamps, $1,000 a month. And no, that's all about to stop. That's who I'm talking to. Okay? Trump said that's enough. So for us people that goes to work, that's working, he said you got to have at least 30 hours. Okay? 30 hours a week to qualify for the program. All right? So most of us that work on a regular basis, 30 hours ain't nothing to us. This is what we do. So guess what? We gonna be the ones walking around in the grocery store with the big baskets because we deserve it. All these years, they've been letting people with no job. They walking around with 2-3 baskets full of groceries, and us hard-working people, we got a little handheld basket with 2-3 items in there, because that's all we have left out of our check. And they sitting around getting fat food, eating lobsters and shrimp and crabs and all this other good food, and we can't even eat that. And we the ones going to work. So I'm glad Trump didn't flip the switch, baby. So all y'all that's living it up right now, that's able-bodied to go to work, and you're choosing not to go to work, you better get ready. Because, baby, y'all finna get them notices. And them notices gonna come soon. And like he said, real quick.
Y'all know Uncle Trump didn't make that law about the food stamps, right? I don't know who needed to hear that. Y'all talking about some Trump said, if you don't work, he gonna take the stamps. That's not, baby. Biden been in office for 4 years, and that law has been a law for a little minute now. What is he talking about? I'm gonna speak for the state of Kansas and the state of Missouri, because them are the states that I've been around. In the state of Kansas and in the state of Missouri, if you did not work at least 15 hours a week or have dependents, or like to even get childcare, you had to work at least 15 hours. I'm confused, or you had to be going to school. I'm confused on why y'all said Trump just made that a law. That has not just mysteriously just came up as a law. That's been one. Y'all have to stop believing stuff that y'all see on the internet and actually like know what you're talking about, because one person can make a video and everybody's gonna go wild in it. Just like that video that boy made about the baby daddies being able to carry the child on his taxes. That boy said he made that up and everybody went wild on it. Like, quit believing that everything you hear on the internet is not true. Trump did not do that. I am not sticking up for Trump. I'm just saying that you have to stop believing everything. And even if he did, where is your faith? You think God ain't gonna have your back? God feed the birds.
To everybody out there who's talking about this is what you voted for when you voted for a Republican because you're mad because they're cutting food stamps, I want to let you all know that I am glad that they are cutting food stamps for people who are able-bodied adults without a dependent. If you are an able-bodied adult without any dependents, why is it that you are receiving food stamps in the first place? Why is it that you cannot get up and go to work like everybody else since you are an able-bodied adult without dependents? I'm glad that they're cutting food stamps. Now, I am not someone who thinks that nobody should ever get government assistance. You have fallen on hard times. I think it's fine if you need to get government assistance for a time. But I think there should be a limit to how much government assistance a person receives, especially if that person is an able-bodied adult. I've seen so many people abuse this system. If you are an able-bodied adult, the government is not the one who is responsible for you. You are the one who is responsible for yourself. It is up to you to take care of yourself. Now, if you need food stamps or you need government assistance for a time, maybe you fell on hard times, maybe you got laid off through no fault of your own, and you need government assistance for a time, that's fine. But it's a problem when you try to live on government assistance and make it a lifestyle.
Listen up, y'all. This food stamp situation where food stamps being taken away, when you gave the government permission to feed you, you gave the government permission to starve you. When you start getting those food stamps, it was an opportunity for you to get off your back and go make something of your life so you didn't have to continue to depend on the government and these food stamps. It was not meant for you to stay on your back making babies, being comfortable and complacent.
So they're cutting off food stamps in certain counties in Georgia. I'm happy. They should have been did that, people. I don't understand people's fascination with remaining on welfare and receiving some type of benefits for the rest of their lives. I do not understand that. And people, before y'all jump talking about something, who chooses welfare, who wants to be on welfare. No, a lot of y'all MFers choose welfare.
Yes.
And how do y'all choose it? Y'all choose these Section 8 living situations where you're going to remain in Section 8 and just pay that minimum amount of rent. And a lot of times that rent is based off your income. So you would not try to better your life to move on because you want to stay at this low rent.
Right.
And people, a lot of times, it's people of color. I'm not going to say just black people, just Hispanics, but people, I know black people my age that's been in Section 8 all their lives. Their kids are in college. And that person is still on Section 8 getting welfare. I blame the Democrats, people. I blame the Democrats because they made it beneficial for the black man to remain out the home. We all know that the black woman couldn't have the black man in the home with the kids. You know what I'm saying? So they made that beneficial for them. And then if you get caught with a man in the house, whatever, he's not on your lease, yada, yada, or you get married, yada, yada, and they find out, that changes your living situation. So that means you might have to end up paying more rent, and God forbid you have to do that. And people, The real estate people, they know you can get a house on Section 8. You can use that Section 8 voucher to help purchase your first time home. But a lot of people don't know that. They're just worrying about that little $80 rent. They don't want to really maximize that benefit. So I feel like, yes, cut the food stamps off. It's not fair that these lazy-ass adults with no children worrying about food stamps. And before y'all say, oh, the cost of living is too high, well, thank the fucking Democrats. When Trump come into office, I really feel like, and with Elon, you know, like with them doing that transparency and government stuff, they really need to tighten up the welfare system and see who's getting it and see how long they've been in it. Because a lot of these Section 8 lists are long. Why is the wait list so long? Because they're passing these Section 8 properties to generations, like just grandma, mom, grandkid, everybody in the Section 8 house. Like,
President Donald Trump did not come to play. He out here changing up things left and right. He been signing things left and right ever since he got in office. Donald Trump says, working people, you can get food stamps now. If you need a little extra help, look, come get these stamps. So I don't know who gave people the idea that because you had a job that you didn't need no extra help. Trump stepped in the game and he like, look, you can still work. You can work, but we still gonna give you a little extra help. And the ladies or whoever that's been laying around at home not doing nothing, receiving all the SNAP benefits, getting all the food stamps. Oh, y'all finna get up and do something. Donald Trump been doing the best that he can for everybody. It's hard trying to please all these different races, all these different genders, all these different personalities. It's hard trying to do that. And I feel like he's trying his very best to be fair, but it's not even so much about the food stuff. It's the fact that he's trying to be fair with everybody and he's still being condemned. Who cannot be for President Donald Trump? Who cannot have his back? Y'all leave in the comments to tell me what y'all think about this.
What do y'all think about it? Listen, let me know in the chat. Let me know if you want to join the. Look, if you want to come up and give your 2 cents on it, go ahead, hurry up and do it. Otherwise, we're gonna wrap this up, y'all. This is just, it's crazy though, and I think a lot of people have a difference of opinions on this whole thing. They blame Trump for it all or whatever. But at the end of the day, you got to look at your own situation. You got to look at how you're moving, what benefits you, what doesn't. Even if you needed government assistance or you got some help in the past, listen, but you've bounced back and you back on track, whatever. I don't see a problem with that. But I just think, like I said, there are a lot of people who are abusing the system. They're abusing the help that's out there. And now that they're, scaling it back, you see the people who most benefiting from it are coming out the woodworks, crashing out, pissed about it because they're no longer, they're going to have to get up and do something. You're going to have to get up and work. You're not going to be able to just sit back and collect your monthly funds from the government and not have to work or not have to do anything. And I think that's the major problem. A lot of people are lazy. They're just sitting back. You don't want to work. You just be honest. Like, yeah, you don't want to work. Sometimes people who work don't want to go to work, but they know that they have to, because if they don't, then things are going to fall back to the wayside, and they don't have that cushion of help from the government to help them with their bills and their electricity and all the, the stuff that they got going. Then on top of that, a lot of women in particular have gotten this sense of entitlement. And I think that's a problem too. You're not even humble about the help that you are getting. They become entitled. They're bashing men on the idea, oh, these ninjas ain't got this and that, when the whole time you getting government assistance who's helping you afford your rent. But you want to call out men, black men, and who don't en masse get that assistance or use it. And if they do, they don't get the amount that you get, because they're getting it for just them. And they're not, but you calling them out on something that you're not fully able to do by yourself. You're getting assistance, you're getting help. You're not sitting back paying for all of these things completely by yourself. So why are you getting this entitled mindset like you're so grand and so great? That's the issue. If our women, if women were a little bit more humble, which they hate to be, oh, they're gonna try to humble you. If you were a little bit more humble, a little bit more gracious in your approach, and stop trying to one up somebody and making other people feel less than, then you could probably move through a little bit better. Like, get your stuff and move on. But no, you're so entitled. All the government got to do is go to TikTok, go to social media, and see these women on here, what they saying. And then they're going to look them up, find them, and be like, oh, no, not you. You got to go. You got to go. You know what I'm saying? Social media, they don't put it together and understand that, hey, these people are watching. How else, and people be reporting you, and these people on social media are not your friends. They out here reporting that lady who talked about lying and stuff. They reported that, and then they'll report, send your whole video to the social security office or the welfare office. They'll send your whole video there. And all they gotta do is look and find out who you are, and then okay. Then now you gotta prove what monies you get. Well, how are you taking care? Because then or you show up and you going to jail for fraud. So it's like, y'all, they gotta start realizing social media is, they watching. So you may not want to post your business on there like that, but at the same time, maybe you want to find some alternatives to what you want to do or what you need to do to take care of you and your kids, and stop depending wholeheartedly on the government to take care of you for years and years, for the rest of your life, and then the rest of your kids' life. And I just don't see, that's just crazy to me. Crazy to me. But y'all go ahead, hit the link if you want to come up. Do it quickly, because I'm not gonna be here that long. And give your 2 cents on this whole the Job Corps thing, the food stamp issue. I want to hear your thoughts on it. So if you want to, the link is pinned to the top of the chat. Go ahead and click that link. Be here for a few minutes with the link, because I'll be back on Friday for sure, and I'll have a open panel then as well. So I just want to get y'all thoughts on this, and then we're gonna move on. There we go. What's happening, Trey? What's happening, Trey?
What's good with you?
How you been?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I kind of know where you coming from, but you go ahead and let us know what you think about the Job Corps, the food. Let us know what you think. I kind of know your perspective.
The Job Corps thing is tough, right? Obviously, there's some good coming out of Job Corps, so I can understand why people have the emotional sort of attachment they have to Job Corps, because there have been some people who have been through it and have been able to sort of turn their life around and have had had a successful life out of it. However, if what they're reporting is true, and I don't know how much of it is true, but if they're saying that it's $131 million in a deficit in fiscal year 2024, they're projecting a $213 million deficit in fiscal year 2025, well, that would be inefficient work.
Right.
And I would agree that it does need to be paused and it does need to be reworked. Now, the articles that I read were very clear in saying that they were going to look for some alternatives and they were going to try some other things, right? Because this is just ineffective. I didn't see anything about it closing or shutting down. Everything that I read said that it was being paused. That was the word that they used. Now this is politics. So we know that language is what it is, right? And pause could be a easy way of saying, "Nah, we shutting this shit down." But if it is inefficient, as it is purporting to be, then I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with them shutting it down. If the idea is we need to make it better, we need to make it more efficient, so that we can better serve the people who come through Job Corps, I'm fine with that. I don't have an issue with that. I think what people are frustrated the most is that there's actually some action happening, right? Take tariffs, for instance. I know you want to talk about tariffs, but tariffs are nothing new.
Right.
They've been talking about tariffs in the 1990s.
Mm-hmm.
There was never any action taken behind it. Obama talked about tariffs. There was never any action behind it. It seems to me that when Trump says something, there's some action behind it. There's some movement behind it. Okay, no, we actually going to do this. And I think that's what's starting to irritate people.
Yeah.
We talked about the food stamps with Biden. She's correct in some manner. Biden did have a plan to shrink, not to eradicate, but to shrink public assistance and government assistance and welfare and all that. He did have a plan to shrink it, but he never acted on it. So Trump comes in and he's like, yeah, we're going to do literally the same thing, but we actually going to do it.
Right.
And so there actually are things that are actually happening. The ball is actually rolling with Trump, and people are going, well, hold on. So I'm glad that some people are starting to see that these things have been in the line for a long time, but there was always inaction. There was always inaction behind it. Now we're starting to see some action. And also, let's be very clear. A lot of people that are on government says these are white people.
Yeah. We talking about
this white people getting ready to get crushed out here.
Yep.
There's black people too, for sure. But I want to make sure that we understand this is not a race issue. This is not black people being targeted.
That's
white
true.
White people getting finna get crushed by this because a lot of them are on welfare. I know like that in the South, they call it getting a draw. They don't even call it a government system. They're like, oh, you ain't messing with my draw or something like they call it like some of that was basically mean the money that they're getting from the government.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you ain't messing with that. But there's a lot of white people finna get cooked behind this. And so we got to understand that this is just, I think, a government saying we want to run more efficiently. I think, and that is typically the sign of a conservative Republican government. They want to run more efficiently. But let me be very clear about this too. A lot of people don't understand. The backlash is going to be crazy in 2028. You can all but guarantee a Democratic president coming now.
See, that's what I was saying. Me and my husband was talking about that. I'm like, okay, so a lot of people don't like what Trump is, what he's doing or implementing. So what does this mean for the next election? We talk about it because I'm like, yeah, they going for sure go Democrat. I said that because they're gonna, they're not liking what's happening with the way Trump is moving. A lot of people just see it as negative. So
yeah, I want you to when it does come to that time, pay attention to the white vote. Yeah. The white vote is going to be interesting because a lot of rural back home, back country, backwoods who voted for Trump, of this taking of the government assistance affects them.
Right. They didn't realize that. I don't think when they voted, they didn't realize it was how it was going to affect them. But now they see, oh shit, it's affecting us. Oh my God, it's not just the blacks. I think you're gonna see lower numbers in that specific demographic. Remember, you had 55% of white women voted for Trump. Yeah.
I don't think you're gonna get 55% of the white women vote for a Republican this go around. I don't think you're gonna have that.
I think so too. It's gonna be interesting to see. Let me ask you this: do you think does the way people vote affect you in any way? Because I hear people saying that doesn't matter who.
Well, yeah, for me, because of where I live in Maryland, which is a notorious Democratic liberal state. So yeah, it does matter for me, right? Even if we have anybody who was even somewhat close to being closer to the middle, like we had a guy named Larry Hogan that was here. He was a little bit more closer to being more independent than anything. And you can see like programs were starting to change just within the state because of how he thinks. Yeah, it does affect where I live. And I've always lived in a liberal. I grew up in DC. DC is notoriously Democratic and liberal. You know what I mean? So I've always been around it. Yes, it does affect, but I think it'll have the biggest. Look, these red states. You're gonna see some of these red states flip blue. It's gonna happen. Like Georgia, yeah. Some of these states I'm really paying attention to because I'm telling you a lot of this taking these services away, it affects them the most. And I have a feeling that a lot of them are going to remember this come November in 2028.
I don't think nothing's going to change in Texas and Louisiana either. What do you think? I don't.
Nah, definitely not Texas. Ain't nothing changing in Texas.
Yeah, I don't think
Texas is always going to be Texas.
Yeah. I agree.
Just like I feel the same way about California. California is always going to be California.
Yeah.
And they're liberal, and that's the way they're going to be. Texas is conservative, and that's the way they're going to be down there. But I mean, I'm serious. Pay attention because I also predicted. It's just me. I think you're going to have one of the largest female turnouts you've ever had because I think a lot of women feel like we weren't heard with Trump. So you're going to see a lot. I'm serious. Are you going to see we know how the black women vote. 90% of black women vote for a Democrat. We know that's not going to change.
Yeah,
that's not going to change. But we're going to have. I am very curious to see Hispanic women, Asian women, and white women. Who will they be voting for come 2028? Because a lot of them, you can't. It's very difficult to tell a woman that the things that you used to get for doing nothing, we're taking that away from you now. It doesn't matter what level it could be a sugar daddy, it could be your parents, it could be anything. You tell a woman, any woman, I'm not giving you free nothing no more. You see videos on TikTok all the time. My daddy just cut me off. My daddy just cut me. What do I do? It's like they don't know. They don't know how to how to function. It's like
right.
I don't have any free money coming in. I didn't have to go to work for this, and now my daddy cut me off. Or you know, my sugar daddy done found somebody else now. So what do I do now? You know, they don't know. They don't know what to do.
So what I want to ask you, so what do you? So if we get a Democrat back in office, what do you think it's going to go back to the old way? Or some of these policies are going to stick?
So it depends on what the Senate and the Congress look like.
Yeah.
Because if you have a Republican Senate and a Republican Congress, then they're just going to try to block everything the president wants to do. Much like what Obama sort of went through a period of his time, right? And sort of the same thing what Trump went through his first go around.
Yeah.
If they somehow can work out a Democratic Congress, you will see some changes. You'll see some changes, and it's going to be a lot of reversing what he did.
That's what I was.
But let me tell you something where I truly think is coming. I think this all sets up for something that I think was going to happen, and we were heading down the road when you start talking about AI, robots taking over jobs. I just saw something. I can't remember if it was Walmart or Walgreens or something. Just said that they saved $500 million by hiring robots to run their pharmacy. And I said, pharmacists just got put out of work. What you're going to see, I think you're going to see universal basic income. That's going to be the start to be the move that everybody's going to get paid regardless. And they're going to do a UBI. And I think that's the direction our society is heading towards, which is UBI. I think that's where we're going, because a lot of these jobs are going to get, a lot of them will get replaced. A lot of guys gonna get replaced.
Well, what do you think about David M says it takes a human to maintain it? Do you think we still gonna need humans to maintain the robots?
Absolutely. But how many humans do you need?
Yeah, right. So we'll need as many.
And it's already competitive now. Think about it now. 106,000 Black women just got laid off, right? How competitive is it right now? How competitive you think it's going to be when they realize they only need 4 people as opposed to 400 people?
I don't know. I feel like that's gonna look bad. Don't you think? It's how is we gonna navigate that? I mean, is that
so here's where I say kudos to Black men, because I think Black men are in the best position to deal with this. You know why? Because we dominate trade schools.
Right, that's true.
So we go and get jobs where you're not going to really be able to you'll replace some of it,
right? But not
all of it.
Right. You think more women will start going to trade?
They're not going to have a choice. Because baby, nobody needs you to be a bean counter anymore. They can just bring AI in to count the beans now. They don't need you. And it's cheaper, and it can work longer than you. It don't need a break. It can't get pregnant, and there ain't no vacations. So why would they hire you? This is where I truly believe this. I think Black men are in the best position, and maybe Hispanic men too, are in the best position to be able to deal with this, because we have a lot of Black men went to trade schools and have a trade skill. They're electricians, they're carpenters, they're roofers, they're all these great jobs where you can't put no robot up there to go do their job. You need a human being to go and go do the job. I truly believe that we will see a sort of a change in it. And don't get me wrong. STEM is always going to be what it is. And people getting degrees in STEM, I think they're going to be fine. Law and medicine, I think they're going to be fine. But if you got a sociology degree, you're screwed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you got an African American studies degree, you're screwed. You're screwed.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I agree. I mean, it makes sense. Rod, what's going on, Rod?
What's up, Trey?
What's your thoughts on all of this, Rod?
What's up, Rod?
Hey, I just want to caveat off for what Trey was saying. I mean, I agree 100%. The chickens are come on the roost. Okay, the chickens have come on the roost. And I'm here for it, boy. I tell you, I am. But yeah, I mean, now I think that and I hate to say it. I mean, a lot of our women, they're going to be forced to do some things. I mean, they don't want to do. Okay, I mean, in order to survive. I mean, really. You're gonna have to marry that baby's father, okay? All right. You're gonna have to, be careful who you open your legs to. All right. You're gonna have to start making wise decisions now, because see, there's no safety net anymore. That safety net is gone. All right. So now you're forced to make wiser decisions. You are. I mean, that's how that go. So yeah. So I disagree with Trey on that. I mean, I agree with Trey on that. I mean, he's spot on with that. So yeah. I can't see too many black women going into trades. I mean, now there are some, but I can't see a majority of black women going into carpentry and brick masonry or what else, welding. I don't see that. Okay, so yeah, I mean it's coming to it. Like I said, the chickens are coming on the roost, and I'm here for it, boy. I am.
I mean, DeeDee, I also would say that I think one more thing potentially might happen, and that is the legalization of prostitution. I think on the backs of this, on the backs of all of these people losing jobs and all this, I think you're going to start to see women actually vote this in. Because remember, women vote more than men do, right? I think you're going to see women vote in to legalize prostitution across the country, considering that the government assistance programs they've been squeezed out of. Because I'm telling you, most of these women, they just don't want to work. At the end of the day, I'm telling you, I used to go in these houses all the time.
That's true.
I remember I went in the house, it was three generations of them was on government assistance. And the only reason why I know that is because of something the grandmother said. The grandmother said, she said, I've been living here for 30 years. And we in the house, we in the project, we in the housing. So she said, she said 30. I said 30. I said, how did you manage to stay here for 30 years? Like that's not how the system was. She been through 2 rebuilds. She done got 2 new houses. Like, how have you been able to do this? Not only that, her daughter is on assistance, and her granddaughter, who just had a baby, was also on assistance. They all live in the same little neighborhood. I was there for a DV situation, and that's how I'm like, how in the world? So I think what you're going to see is you're going to see women who say, look, well, if I can't do this, then I think they're going to push. Now, whether or not it actually becomes, I don't know. But you're going to see a lot of hearts and minds sort of changing about legalizing prostitution. It ain't just going to be in one small little passage of the country. There are going to be big gaps in areas, or maybe even legalizing brothels. I'm not saying if you're a morally righteous person, you probably disagree with this. I'm just telling you the reality of it. There are a lot of women who would much rather lay on their back for a fee than get up and go to work every day.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, hell, they might as well legalize. I mean, look, I'm kind of in the middle, but I mean, look what they're doing. Look at how they move, and everything is what y'all call a situationship. Oh, pay me, I need money for this. Well, I mean, hell, this is what they're doing anyway. All they, they don't have enough money to pay their bills, and then when you don't have Section 8, when they don't have all of these, what you gonna do? I told y'all they're gonna be begging y'all. They're gonna be coming to y'all. Come on, please, begging to give you something for a few dollars. It's gonna be like strange, out here in these streets, like on the corners. Kevin Samuels did a video a while back. Rest in peace to him. He was talking about how they're gonna be on the streets. They're gonna be on the corners, like they're doing it like right in the opening now already. So what would be the real difference? Like y'all out here, selling that cooch, trying to get some money anyway. Like,
hey, Trey, you remember the soda store where Salt Water said the day the Geechee is gone?
The day the Geechee is gone.
Yeah, I mean, what would be the difference?
This is why it's so important for Black people, any community, anybody, to have financial literacy. Listen, to me, getting an education is great, but I told my son, you can have all the money in the world, but if you don't know what to do with it, you're just as dumb as the dumbest person.
That's true.
We have to have some financial literacy here. And this is why it's important. You don't need to make millions of dollars to become a millionaire. As a matter of fact, most millionaires weren't millionaires until they became a millionaire.
Right.
So there's a process into this. But if the thought process is that I'm just going to give something, I'm going to get something, and somebody's just going to give it to me, right. Like that one lady said in the video, and I'm glad she said that. If they can feed you, they can starve you. I 100% agree with that. If they can feed, and it's the same thing with these corporate jobs. Don't ever get too comfortable in your corporate job. They feed you, they can starve you. They can fire you anytime they feel like it, especially if you live in a, one of them like just cause states where they don't really need a reason to fire you. They can just fire you because they feel like it, whatever it is. So what you need to be doing is saying, hey, what do we do with this money? And the other part of this is if you have some land, if you have a yard, if you have some land, You need to learn how to start growing your own food. You better start learning how to grow your own food. I just asked my mother the other day. She got a nice big lemon tree in her backyard. I mean, it's huge lemon tree. And I said, how did you I ain't pay no attention. I didn't see it until it sprouted up. And she's like, it's going to take, 4 or 5 years, but it produces lemons. She's been tomatoes and all types. She's been building this garden. And I'm thinking that people need to start, you need to start getting back to that sort of mentality of because if you're depending on the government, depending on the government, you never know what might happen, and they could change their mind at any time. Just remind yourself of how it was in COVID. They told you, well, you can't go outside, and we're shutting down businesses, and you know what I mean? They have that power, so you got to be prepared to deal with that. I was upset because in Maryland, you can't harvest rainwater. And I was like, the water that falls out of the sky, I can't get a couple buckets of it if I wanted to. It's illegal. Here.
That's crazy.
I thought it would be legal.
That's like where we live. You can't really have a real garden, to grow. You can grow certain things, but you can't grow certain things, and then you have to get permission. Like you have to get permission to grow things in your own backyard. So it's like but you can do some stuff, and you can do it indoors too. So people are creating indoor gardens too. There's ways to do it if you really want to do it. But we know the majority of people are not thinking like that. You're not thinking about growing your own food and, where you can self-sustain. Everybody is dependent upon somebody else, the government, the grocery stores, all that. And I mean, hell, is I don't think that would be a bad thing to go back to because it's beneficial and it's more healthier. Look at the food, so it's a lot of things coming up with the food and all the, pesticides and things they're using for our food is becoming worse, is getting worse and worse. So my daughter, my oldest, she's into that. She makes bread. She's into growing. She grew a small watermelon. And I was like, I ain't never seen that in real life. Look, I come from
That's awesome. They call the watermelon the fruit of the gods. That's awesome.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Watermelon has amazing properties for you, for your skin, everything.
It does.
That's why I used to laugh when people say, "Oh, black people love watermelon." I'm like, "Yeah, y'all don't understand. Black people got it up here. It's a great fruit." They didn't know. Yeah,
they didn't know. Like our grandmothers knew. My grandmother, because I didn't grow up eating watermelon, but my grandmother always had watermelon, so I think she knew. But I don't think
we did. We ate watermelon with the seeds. With the seeds. Yeah, we ate watermelon. I listen, days like today where it's 90 degrees, summer day, we would be eating watermelon. Right. My grandmother would go in there, she had chopped that thing out. She had a whole little thing. She had sliced that thing up, and you get these long little pieces like this, and it had the seeds, and she'd say, make sure you spit. But she would tell us where to spit the seeds, and she had a little patch in her yard, and she was like, spit your seed. I think she was I don't know. I never actually seen her grow an actual watermelon before, but you know what I mean? She would tell us, spit your seeds in this little section. And we would sit there, me and my cousin would try to see how far we could spit the seed in, how, we would have little, how kids are, we turn everything to a competition. But I think that's something that if you have the land, obviously if you don't have the land, you can't do this. But if you have the land and you can do it, it's definitely something worth looking into, is to being able to grow at least some of the stuff that you know that you would be able to survive on if you had to, you know what I mean? Because these grocery stores, man, I was in the grocery store earlier today, and I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Some of these prices was just outrageous.
Yep.
And speaking of that, because we're talking about people working able-bodied, and they were saying, well, some people can't work because of disabilities. I was in the Wegmans. There are so many disabled people in there working.
Missing
stuff. No, they disabled. They limping. One girl's got a cane, and they in there wiping tables down, straightening up tables. They in there helping to bag groceries. They are working. So these people who have legitimate disabilities can get up every day and go to work. Why can't you as an able-bodied person?
And I think that's what frustrates a lot of people, because and I think that's what people are looking at too. If you're really disabled, you missing an arm or a leg, and you still out here working, what's wrong with you who have it all there? What's wrong with you being able to work? A lot of people aren't really disabled as they claim. in my opinion. I think a lot of people, can you hear me, Trey? I think a lot of people are lying. They're just like that girl in that video. They're lying. They ain't nothing wrong with them. They lying, acting like, they got mental problems and all that. Cause you could claim you got a mental problem and you can't work and you see things funny and you can't go to work. They lying. A lot of them are lying. I remember growing up, like I ain't gonna say her name, but one of our neighbors, she was getting Social Security for all of her children, claiming they had a mental delay or a developmental issue when you're just not teaching them. You're not teaching them, you're not teaching them how to read. You're not spending that time that you're supposed to spend with them to teach them. They go to school, but they got to come home and you got to help them with their homework. You got to help them. And so a lot of those parents weren't doing that. And then they just let the kids just linger and then take them to the Social Security office. That was a big thing. And then claim they got a developmental problem. They do, they'll do a analysis or whatever on the kids. And then they'll come up back, especially back then it was easier. And then, oh, well, yeah, they developmental because they can't read or they can't this, so they must be behind. And then they end up getting those checks and then they end up getting cut off from it. But a lot of them be lying. Like a lot of times nothing was wrong with those kids. They just weren't being taught and they would use that. But, once again, for people who actually need it, I mean, if you do have a disability and it's, now they like, they're cutting back on that too. You really have to prove a disability. Like you blind, you got an arm missing, or you can't walk, or you really got to prove that it's a disability in that way now in order to get that. They realize that there was so much fraud in that too, where a lot of, you had to really prove that you were disabled to get these things. So I think it's just happening across the board. Changes are just going to happen, period, no matter whether they like it or not. And all these people who have been getting over and lying, y'all, it's this, you're gonna have to find something else to do. You're gonna have to find a new gig or something.
Yeah, a new hustle. I worked a little bit of fraud before I left the department, and we were working a case where a guy was living in housing. He had made like $3 million. He was still living in housing. Yeah, we were working that case. You can look it up. It made, I think it made public. He didn't make local, or it made like national news, but it was a thing. Like he had been living there for maybe a decade, and what gave him away is he had bought a brand new Benz truck. He bought a brand new Benz truck, and as per usual, somebody went and was like, "Hey, something ain't right here. Something not right here." And come to find out, he had a whole nother residence. He had a whole nother residence in like Virginia, somewhere like a multi-million-dollar home somewhere else. But yeah, I'm telling. Hey, look, just to confirm your point that people are scamming the system, they're doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
And it's a lot to it. I mean, Brett Favre played in the NFL, he got into a lot of hot water trying to scam the welfare system. It's still in a lot of hot water trying to scam the welfare system. And this is why I say, me personally, I feel as though nobody should get assistance. Nobody. Because my thing is okay, if a millionaire goes on hard time, do you give him assistance too? He falls on hard time. Maybe his business goes under. Maybe he makes a bad business deal and he loses. Maybe he over leveraged himself in loans. Do we give them food stamps too? You know what I mean? Like where's the line for who and how much money do you make for somebody to say, this is how much? Okay, you can get food stamps, but dude, you made $13 million on your career. Yeah, we know you're on hard times now, but you're not eligible. Like, where do we, you know what I mean? Like, where's the line here? And I would just rather just say, nah, nobody can get it. And I want them to get rid of all these programs. And that includes for the rich. There's a lot of these programs for the rich where it's helping to help maintain their wealth. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And they got a little program that they've been working with the government. Elon Musk is a prime example. He's been working with the government for years. Now, granted, he paid his money back, as he said. He paid it back early. But there was a program for him to be able to borrow the money so he can do what he needed to do.
Right.
If I ask the government for a loan, they're going to laugh at me. And I'm a veteran.
That's, you know what I mean? See, that's backwards to me. That's backwards. Calvin Cook, thank you for the super chat. Says tiny home, 25K. Calvin, I remember when the tiny homes first came out, they were much cheaper. They're going up now. So 25K, own it, rent 25K a year. Thank you for the super chat, Calvin. Yeah, they used to be cheaper. Tiny homes are getting expensive. Ty, what's going on, Ty?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good. How you been?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Good. What's your thoughts on the topic?
Oh, I was a little behind. It was something that Trey said that he was on point. I could see us going to universal basic income because the shift that they're moving, because they already created law where they prevented states from regulating AI, right? So, but we already know that's going to destroy the job market, right? But then their excuse is, well, we want to stay competitive with China. Well, that is true. You do need to stay competitive, but but when you start to think about it and peel back the layers, all these manufacturing jobs that they want to bring back, despite the fact we don't even really have infrastructure for it, most people today don't want to do that type of work. First of all, it doesn't pay that much. And then secondly, let's be honest, all of the Zennials uh, millennials, they don't want to do that. The Zennials, they don't even want to work full 8-hour days. So what's going to happen if AI starts to replace all these jobs? Then how are other people going to live? So I think he's right. It is a setup it's a strategic setup to give universal basic income. I think he's on the point with that. That was a good thought, and that's what I was thinking about. But do I believe? Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
And do I believe that? How do I feel about most of these women getting kicked off of their public assistance? Good, good. I am not your baby daddy. I should not be paying for your shit. That's how I feel about it.
So what is it? Universal. What you say? Like, what is it? Universal.
Universal basic income.
So what did that?
That means everybody will get a stipend. It's almost like a setup to one of those futuristic type dystopian movies, though, right? Whereas everybody gets a certain amount of credits for for the month, and you have to spend that wisely. Because ultimately, because he said something else, you said, well, what happens? Will they hire people to fix these robots? And he said, well, they might not hire 400, they might hire 40 or 4. That's right, because when they build robots, other robots will be able to do the repairs as well. Ultimately, it will get to that point with AI. Personally, that's when it gets extremely dangerous. But if they can repair themselves, then like you're effectively putting everyone out of job. I'm in engineering, but I think ultimately, I think that even my field might be compromised. Hopefully, I'm retired by that point, right? But I think that might be that's a possibility too, because it's a question that's been going around for quite some time. So,
but y'all don't think that's scary though?
It is scary. It's very scary because then I feel like if it gets to that point, then the government will have far more control over it. And the way that I have been looking at it is that I think we're seeing what societal collapse looks like. To me, it looks like things are starting to collapse. I mean, look at like men are against women. A lot of stuff that's going on in office right now. It's a lot of legal stuff. There's some things they throw the public bones and okay, this is a good thing, this is a good thing. But under the hood, they got people paying for their like for the immigration status. If you spend this type of money, it's like they selling immigration status. Then on the other hand, they like for instance, the court say don't do this. They say screw you, I'm gonna do it anyway. You know what I mean? It's kind of setting us up for like this totalitarianistic type government, in my opinion.
That's scary in a sense, and I say in a sense of like I always thought to have a bunch of robots and not employ individuals is scary to me. You know
right?
What I mean?
Yeah, right. But it does get to a point where you got to think, what is the votes really going to count for them? Right? Because most people vote based on what? The economy. That's the number one thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then what will your vote really count for? That hey, I'm just throwing stuff out there. Right?
It'll be on the increase of the UBI, getting more money. It'll be on the increase, getting the increase of UBI, getting more money. Who can offer more money?
Yeah, more money. Like instead of $25 a month, we're gonna afford to get $35 a month.
Right.
Like a whole Cuba setup. Right.
Yeah, that's what it'll be. Hey, I agree with you 100%. I mean, UBI basically says that the government runs everything.
Yep.
Like you have no, they may not even need a voting system. Yeah,
That's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking. Like,
and there might be a complete overhaul of the United States Constitution at that point. I mean, we're talking about we talking about some scary
shit.
Yeah, that seems scary to me.
Yeah.
No, maybe I mean,
and it could all happen. It can all happen. And I'm glad glad, Ty, that you brought up the point that robots can work on each other.
Right.
I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, and that's very true. Right. If one robot is signaling to the other that they need maintenance, one can work on the other, which means that then means you need less humans now.
Exactly.
You need even less humans now. Think about it. Your McDonald's right now, probably the fry machine is running on a robot. It's already in place. It's already here. I
just saw this delivery robot. Like that's another thing. I just saw like a delivery robot where they delivered food to their house.
Where was that? Wow.
I don't know. I saw a video and the damn robot came up and it had like a friendly face. You open up the little trunk, you take your food out, have a nice day. No tip. They don't get lost.
Yeah, they have drone deliveries already.
Yeah.
Like they've been all of this is not like they've already been doing this stuff. And that's what I think. You have to remember something. I say this to people all the time. If you're just now seeing it, that means they've been working on it the last decade. It's just getting to you. It's just getting to you. You're just now seeing it for the first time. They've already been working on it. Like electric car, people think, oh, Tesla and Elon was the first. They were working on electric cars long before that.
Right.
Remember probably at least like back in the early 90s where they said, oh, we should have flying cars by the year 2000. Do you guys remember that?
Yep, I remember that. Yep.
And it never really happened, but they kind of do have a few models of those. Really? But so yeah. So when you see it, that means that they've been working on it for like the last 30 years.
Right.
It's kind of there. It is kind of there, but
I'm always looking into getting into like what's new, right? Like be a like an early investment to things that's new, and they have been working on solar powered airplanes for a while, and there's this company that's gonna attempt to bring it to market. But that's what I'm saying. Like you think about that solar powered airplanes makes a lot of sense, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, but they've already been working on these things. A lot of this stuff is nothing new. I'm saying to people who think that this isn't a real thing, you need to start getting prepared. You need to start to prepare yourself for what's coming down the pipe, because a lot of this stuff is going to start to come down the pipe, and you've got to be ready for it. Or you can play it by ear and make adjustments as you go. It's your choice, but I got a funny feeling that UBI is going to be a real thing.
That's crazy. Zookeeper, thank you for the super chat. Says just to add more about AI, it can lift and move more items faster. Plus, it holds more on the spot, accurate data and information. That's scary for job security. Can you say iRobot? Thank you, Zookeeper, for the super chat. 504. Quick 504. Thank you for the super chat. Says our rich Black folks need to invest in vocational trade schools so our people can learn a trade to become self-employed. Thank you for that super chat. Quick 5. What do y'all think about that? You think that's something they need to invest into?
Yes.
Go ahead, Michael. Give us your thoughts.
My thoughts is that AI will possibly be the replacement of human beings, and that's a good thing for the rich, but bad thing for the middle class and the poor. To be honest with you, AI is going to replace us. It's going to replace us, but not going to give a religious twist on it. But I'm just going to say that a lot of greedy billionaires will use AI as a tool, in order to get what they want, in order to get more money, and they can't get that out of human beings who require pensions, who require vacations, who get tired after a while, who can't work for years and years and years and have a heart attack. They can't get that out of humans, and most of these people who are doing this AI stuff is they're possibly greedy billionaires, really, to be honest with you, because once AI takes over, it's going to put a lot of people out of work. It may build 1,000 more jobs in AI, but everybody is not a computer tech wise. They're a computer tech person like myself or like many other people on this panel or many other people throughout the world. I was looking towards doing AI automation and doing YouTube automation one day, but AI will replace human beings. It could possibly be the end, possibly be the apocalypse, because a lot of people are gonna get out of work. They're not gonna be able to feed their family. They're not gonna know how to do AI as for a job, and it's gonna replace them. So it's good. And as for the Quick Trip guy, it is good for Black people while the world still exists to go into vocational training and learn how to do plumbing, electrician, stuff that AI can't replace. So that's just my thoughts on it.
Hustler, what's going on? What's your thoughts on the topic? Hustler.
Salute, DeeDee. What's up?
How you doing?
I'm all right. How y'all doing? Long time no see.
Good. What's your thoughts on what we've been talking
The
about?
whole AI thing.
Anything.
My God, yeah. I did a whole show talking about this may seem a little graphic, but I did a show talking about our AI robots going to be the new world order of dating, not just a job place, because they may take over the job place. That's crazy enough. But what about a world where AI is just going to? What about when AI sex bots become a new thing in this society? Instead of us marrying conventional humans, we're going to marry a bunch of AIs we can program to be whatever we want. Program to be whatever we want, build it however we want to. That way we ain't got to deal with the stress of trying to meet somebody in this old crazy world. I mean, we're already dominated by social media. People rather be on social media and on their laptops instead of meeting people. So now AI gonna be the next best thing as far as trying to interact with people. But also proves how technology is just taking over everything. If it ain't social media, it's AI robots that are going to be the new thing for dating. Instead of
been in the works for a long time.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
That's been in the works for a long time.
That's a good thought, Ham. But that's a good thought, AKA. But the thing about it is that will be the apocalypse. I mean, I know a lot of people on this planet don't believe in the Bible the way I do, and that'd probably be worse than being LGBTQ, to be honest with you, because God created men and women to be together, not men, women, and AI and LGBTQ. So that could possibly bring forth the end of the world, and AI could possibly. That's what I meant by AI could possibly bring forth the apocalypse. And I didn't want to bring no religion into it, but I was watching a ministries called Shalom Yah recently while I was at work, and he said that a lot of people are using AI just to get more money in their pockets, so they won't have to give human beings certain type of pensions and give them jobs, and they can fire people and replace them with robots and stuff like that. And be honest with you, my personal opinion, I agree with that, because AI is I believe is antichrist. Even though I said I would go into AI automation, I believe there's something wicked about it, because it's going to replace human beings, and we should never be replaced. So,
Rome wasn't conquered in a day, now was it?
Right.
It's like one civilization rises, another one collapses, and to be honest with you, America has been running for the last 200 years. So at some point, it's going to collapse. And what we're seeing is the collapse of society. Is it going to be by our own doing? Yeah, I think we've had plenty of movies to predict some of this stuff, like the Terminator,
iRobot,
like all this stuff. Because think about it, if they already using AI, a big thing in Terminator was how were they weaponizing it? military contracts, right? So think about it. If they hand that stuff over to AI, then that could be the demise of all of us, right?
Yeah.
Because, and I'm quite sure that they're using it at the military level already. Because look, they like now you can have war without losing soldiers. And in fact, that is one thing that they were talking about, to create robot soldiers so you don't lose human lives. The question is always, when are they going to turn on us? Because it will get to a point where they can exceed their original programming.
Right.
It's another facet of life. So we are actually participating in our own demise. It's going to happen. The question is when.
This is when. Or I'm not to bring the Bible back into it. Jesus would come back soon and he could destroy all that, then replace it with a new heaven and a new earth. So I'm just saying.
Robots?
I'm just saying Jesus would come back soon, he could destroy the world and then replace it with a new heaven and a new earth. You never know what's going to happen in the future. So I'm just saying. But AI, if that don't happen, AI will replace a lot of people. People will be out of work. And when I was just thinking about something when you said that, TY. The thing about it is that if they won't need no more for voting. There won't be no more voting, because if AI replace human beings and they don't have a mind or a will of their own, then they'll just put who's ever over them in office. So they'll replace us in voting. They'll replace there won't be no need for voting, no need for the news. Like in iRobot, everything will be as certain people want it to be. There won't be no more free will, no more constitution, stuff like that.
That's what DeeDee and Trey and I were just talking about. That was the point that we just hit on.
Right.
But I think the interesting thing, you guys were talking about dating with AI. The fascinating thing with that is that if you think about it, they create a segue for that. This has been a long time in the making, because I don't know if you guys remember. I know DeeDee remember, but there was even a book or a movie, Stepford Wives, right? All these perfect wives were robots, right? So now think about it. They've created such a gender divide has been created that opened up a new business avenue. Now, because now they even having bots. Think about all the meta AI that they push in, your personal assistants, your friend, and stuff like that. And you can actually talk to them, because I have the app, right? So if they cause the rift between men and women, and now you actually have a business opportunity there. Like, for instance, now they're catering towards single women that travel alone. Well, guess what? New market. Have your personal AI assistant. Have your robot friend go with you.
It's not healthy.
No, it's not healthy. But that's what's gonna happen.
Oh my God.
That's just
good.
disgusting. And I want to think.
I mean, can a robot fight? Yeah.
Program it to fight. I mean, when it comes,
never mind fighting, DeeDee. Can they have intercourse with you?
No, but that's another thing. That's when you
got AI sex bots.
Yeah, but they do have. Yeah, they do. In China, they have sex robots now, or at least they're working on.
And they reproduce life.
But they can't. See,
I heard some of them could. I was told some of them could.
No, that's
not organically. That's impossible. Not organically.
That's impossible.
That's impossible.
Well, I didn't say it was going to be an organic baby, so we all know how that go down.
Oh, right, right. So, but that's where this is. This is
what
all
you're seeing. What you're seeing is the end of the world. Be honest with you. What you're seeing is the beginning of the end of the world. And what you're seeing is that because God is furious right now with mankind, and mankind dabbling into certain things that he should not be dabbling into. So what you're seeing is the end of the world, because as we get closer and closer to his return, things is going to get worse and worse. So you're just seeing that with AI technology taking over men and women at each other's throat. So yeah, you're just seeing the end of the world, because that's unhealthy. You can't socialize with a robot the way you can socialize with a human being. That's not healthy at all. That's
really is, man.
it's actually weird and disgusting.
Well, I got a question for anybody that wants to answer. Who do y'all think is going to benefit from AI the most? Are men going to benefit more, or are women going to benefit more? I pose that question to my older fans.
Corporations.
No. Well, I mean, as far as dating is concerned, not the business, not the people that make the stuff. I mean, the people as far as dating is concerned.
I couldn't tell you.
I don't see how it's beneficial.
It's not. I don't even see it. I can't even imagine it, because I mean, how you gonna be able to reproduce life with an AI?
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking about reproduction. Like, what are we gonna go into? What's gonna happen? We gotta reproduce, right? We gotta make more humans, right? So
But you know what? You guys are touching on a good point. That's already a problem.
Right.
This is the reason why Trump was offering women like what $5,000 to have a baby. I'm like, well, first of all, you need to be offering that to men now, right? Because men don't want to have kids because they're being raked through the coal with child support, right? So, but the problem is there's not enough babies being born to replace our workforce,
right?
And that's a huge problem. So now, if you introduce AI into the equation, oh bloody hell, that's
a problem. I want to touch on that point. Abortion was genocide, and giving women certain right to kill children was genocide. And Trump does realize that. That's why the agenda. But it was a genocide towards our community at first. But like the Bible says, you reap what you sow, because white women are having more abortions than anybody. Now,
I don't know about that.
The Trump administration is trying to reverse all of that. He's taking away. I see on your screen. He's taking away food stamps, Social Security. He's
Section 8.
Section 8. He's reversing Roe v. Wade and giving it back to the states, knowing that they're gonna get rid of abortion altogether, because women are the gatekeepers to whether life come into the world or not. Men lay the seed, but it's up to the woman to deliver what comes from that seed. And they realize that, and they also realize that because the woman's the weaker vessel, according to what the scriptures say, that she's easily manipulated into what she believes is power. So that's the reason why Trump is trying to reverse all that. But if AI takes over, then it won't matter whether Trump reverses it or not, because we're gonna all be having intercourse with robots, right?
Well, I think that's true, but I also think the reason why they reversed Roe v. Wade, it was all about what I was just talking about, for our decline in population. That's what it was really about.
Right.
Because they've been seeing this for a long time. See, we normal people don't keep up with that. But when they look at the numbers, they can tell. So at some point, they knew it was going to become an issue. That's the reason why they really reversed it. That's why they're forcing women to have babies, right? Because like some of the states, whether you were raped or not, you need to deliver the child, right? So, I mean, I have my own other theories about that, because even if you do have a kid and they don't want the kid, now what happens to the kid? Then they go into the system, and it's a whole bunch of stuff that I think about when it comes to that. But I just think that America is collapsing, declining population, declining population. Men and women don't get along. Babies are not, economic uncertainty. The cost of living is too high. We had like a boiling point where like the steam lid is about to explode off this pot, right? And that's what it's just looking like. It's bad right now, and then they introduced these tariffs, which put more pressure on us. So it's just like it's everything is just like going wrong at this point.
Right. All right, y'all. Well, I gotta get out of here. I see Ferg in the background, but I gotta get out of here. I do appreciate y'all coming up real quick. I'll be back for sure on Friday.
I had something else to say, but I'm sorry.
Real quick, with an open panel on Friday, so y'all definitely come up if you can on Friday. But I got to go. I gotta get out. I gotta go. Go ahead quickly.
All right. I was going to say, as far as the dating market goes, the only men that are going to benefit from AI are the men who been through the struggle, had their fair share of hookups, had their fair share of one-night flings, had been married, been in relationships. They're going to benefit more because, well, they already have the social skills to interact with a woman. They're just looking for a mate. That's all. They're just looking for a mate. They're not looking for anything serious. They've already been through all that, so maybe they'll benefit from it. Compare that to the incels who have no experience with women, don't know how to satisfy them. A robot ain't gonna do nothing for them because now that they're still gonna be socially awkward and stagnant when it comes to how to socialize with women. So it could benefit men. It ain't gonna benefit women because women want emotional attachments to a man. What you gonna do with some AI male robot with no feelings, no emotions, no thoughts, no struggles? He just basically a machine programmed to do what you want it to do. That's no different than turning on your microwave, watching your warm up food. No different than turning on your washing machine to wash your wash clothes or dry clothes. You're watching a machine do what it's programmed to do. So how is a woman going to be invested in something that has no actual feelings or emotions?
Right.
So it ain't going to do women any good, but that's just my theory.
Well, I appreciate you. I understand what you're saying, y'all. Thank y'all so much for being here. Long time no see. Ty.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a minute.
Definitely, if y'all got the time, catch me on Friday for sure. I may be up tomorrow is what? Yeah, Friday for sure. I'll be back 1:15 p.m. Central Standard Time. So if you guys want to join, make sure you do that. But y'all, I got to get out of here. I got some things I need to do. But I appreciate y'all for being here.
Not a problem, D. Not a problem.
Y'all take care. I hope to see y'all soon.
Thank you.
Later. Zookeeper, thank you for the super chat. Says copy, cut, paste is an easy way to replicate, but it can take your job away. Thank you for the super chat. Zookeeper, Quick 504 says test tube babies are already out there. That's true. Thank you, Quick 504. I appreciate you. Marriage, politics, and sports. How are you? Definitely try to get me on Friday. Women play with more toys than men do. Ooh, child. That's the truth. Thank you, Marriage, Politics, and Sports. I appreciate you. Thank y'all once again for being here. I shout out to everybody who was in the building. Shout out to everybody watching, everybody. Make sure you hit that like button on your way out. Also, share and like the stream if you love the content. Hit that notification bell to be notified when I upload new content, you guys. I will be back on Friday, so make sure you tune in 1:15 p.m. Central Standard Time, you guys. Make sure you join me then. Thank y'all once again for everybody who supports via Super Chat, Cash App, or just liking the stream. I appreciate you guys so much. Who was that said I'm always in a rush? Nah, I'm not. I am not always in a rush. I just got stuff to do. I got a whole family. So certain days I give extra. For those who already know my channel, they understand. Yeah, whoever said that, nah, Dante, nah, I'm not always in a rush. I got shit to do, like sometimes. And the time that I've given you is really valid. So please don't say that. Don't say that no more. But thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you guys. Y'all be safe out here in these streets. Take care, and I will see y'all really, really soon on Friday. All right. Peace out. I love you guys. Be safe, and I'll see you later. Mwah. Bye.